What up, everybody? How you doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, whatever the time frame. How's you doing? How is everybody? Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. I'm your host, Coach Renz, and today we are let there light. Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about the whole. I'm not really talking about flat Earth. Just be clear. I'm not here to argue whether the Earth is flat or the Earth is not flat. That is not the argument. I don't care. Right? I'm not going to get into that kind of an argument. I hate that argument. I get irritated by those arguments. But I do find it interesting. That if you are a Christian, you're a Bible believer. I say put Christian on there, but truly I mean, if you are a Bible believer, then you should believe that the earth is flat. The purpose of this conversation is I want to see hopefully we'll get some Christians who will come on here. I mean, they seem to not be really available from a show, but I'm curious to see if we get any Christians on here who believe that the earth is a sphere, who follow science and logic and understand that the earth is some type of sphere, not a perfect ball, nothing like that. Understand atmospheric pressures and things of that nature. You know, basic shit you learn in junior high. But they're still a believer in the Bible. But the Bible says teaches more of the Bible teaches that the earth is flat, so to speak, flat-ish. And since the majority of the Bible, the majority of the teachings of the shape of the earth of the Bible is flat-ish, why are there Christians who don't believe that the earth is flat? Should there not be more Bible believers walking around supporting the flat earth theory people? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't that be the way it should be going? When you read so many aspects of the Bible, you can easily do a Google search. What verses of the Bible teaches a flat earth? What verses of the Bible teaches a spherical earth? You're going to have like 2 or 3 that teach a spherical earth. 2 or 3. You're going to have about 7, 8, 9, 10 that show that the earth is some type of flat-ish, dome-covered pillars holding up the body of the earth kind of situation with earth with edges. You're going to have those kinds of things. So, so complete with flat, immovable, completely flat, immovable with 4 corners and a dome. Exactly. This is what I remember asking one of my family members who is a devout Christian. I said, "Oh," and she, she got her little degree and everything. And I was like, asking my cousin, I said, "Look here, you believe in the Bible, right?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "So why don't you believe that rain only happens when God opens portals? Do you understand or believe in cloud accumulation? The cycle of rain?" And she was like, "Nah, the cycle of rain, water evaporates. All right. It's kind of cracking when I talk. I don't know if I can do anything. Is that better? Is anybody else having some hearing problems?" All right. So let me know if the audio is good or if there's something wrong with the audio. Let me know. So anyway, I was talking now, and I was like, "Look, according to the Bible, that rain is caused." Sounds good on this channel. Okay, so all right, rain is caused by God opening portals or windows in the dome, and by Him opening the portals and windows in the dome, it's rain happens. Your other live is a little choppy. Uh, StreamYard is doing like two different versions of YouTube, whereas one is kind of like up and down, and the other one is, you know, rectangular. One is portrait, one is landscape. So I don't know. It's designed for phone. One is designed for being on a phone, and the other one's designed for not being on a phone. You got to, if it's doing something of that nature, it got to be StreamYard because all my shit's plugged in good. Or I don't know, is Facebook is acting silly or something? But yeah, don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. So, because that's just me viewing it. Let me. I don't know. Anyway, continue on with the conversation here. Because we can't do shit about it, so we might as well just continue. I don't know. Go to YouTube or Facebook, whichever one ain't working for you, or TikTok. Go to the one that works for you. So anyway, so when I was and she looked dumbfounded for a second. She, it was a struggle bus for her. The fact that the Bible would indicate that the only way that it rains is God has to open up windows, portals. And, this led into a conversation where I was able to explain about how there's, this God of the Bible came from being a storm deity. And how important it was to have rain in the region where the people who made this story up come from. So we went on to another conversation. It was just a lead in for me to talk about the fact that, there are problems within the Bible. The Bible is not accurate. It doesn't have accurate science, right? So as far as the earth being flat, you can start out with Genesis. See, I don't want to give up all the stories. So, but let me give you a couple of places where you can, where it talks about how the earth is flat, and it has corners. So the earth is cited as having four corners, or corners, period. When you look at some of the examples, be Revelation 7 and Isaiah 11 and 12, it talks about gathering from the earth, from the four corners of the earth. Job 37 and 3, it refers to the lightning sent to the ends of the earth. So, you can't have it. The earth can't end unless it has edges, unless it stops at some point, right? Otherwise, you can't send anything to the ends of the earth. The idea of when you see the version where there are pillars holding up the earth, like Sheol is up under there, and there's like these pillars, then you got passages like in Psalms 93 and 1, which says that it was established firm and secure, that these pillars established there. And like 1 Samuel 2 and 8, where it talks about the foundations of the earth are the Lord's, like you set up these pillars, these foundations. And this one was a new one on me today. Today, in looking up some information, this one was new to me. I've never paid attention to it. But in Daniel 4, 10, and 11, it talks about how there's this tree. I didn't know this one. I mean, if you knew this one, put a 1 in the comment if you knew this one. But in Daniel 1, there's a tree that goes up and touches the sky, and it was visible to the ends of the earth. Did you know that in Daniel? Did you know that in Daniel chapter 4, that there's a description of a tree in Nebuchadnezzar? He's describing this tree of Nebuchadnezzar, how it goes all the way up and touches the sky, and the tree is so tall that you can see it from all the ends of the earth. If you already knew that, put a 1 in the comments. If you've never heard of that, put a 2 in the comments. In all the readings of the Bible, that aspect of it never clicked. I never paid attention, oh, look, he's talking about there's a big giant tree, because I never really dealt with the whole flat earth thing. All right. So put a 2 in the comments if you've never known that. Put a 1 in the comments if you knew that Daniel spoke of a tree that was so damn tall that you can see it from every corner of the earth. right? I mean, that has to be a hell of a tree, or that's a flat ass earth. The earth has to be flat for that to happen. Has to be flat. It said one because of Jack and the Beanstalk. Okay, legit. Oh, so I'm the only one who never paid attention to that. Okay, Marion, he said he read it before. Bishop Nub, Dwayne. All right, I never paid attention to it. I've glossed past that point and didn't even notice it because honestly, as you guys know, I don't like talking about flat Earth. I don't get into that debate often. It's a dumbass debate to me. It's a dumb debate. I like asking flat Earth people, like, okay, so we find out that the Earth is flat. Then what? What does that change? Is it going to change anything? You still going to pay your bills? Still going to drive your car? But anyway, so the point is this. The point is this. There are plenty of emphasis in the Bible, plenty of opportunities in the Bible where it talks about how there's a dome over the earth, an impenetrable dome, that rain happens because he open up portals. There are edges and corners to the earth. That Jesus was on top of the mountain, and the devil supposedly showed him every nation on the planet to every corner of the earth. The Bible and the people of that day who was writing this particular script believed that the earth was flat-ish, right? And in Job, he talks about how the earth was like the signet ring when you press in the clay, and how it kind of flattens and then has a little edgy to it, you know. So it repeatedly is written based on the belief that the earth is flat. And this is what got people like Copernicus and Galileo in trouble with the church, and then the church, persecuted them for suggesting that the earth wasn't flat, for suggesting that the earth wasn't the center of the universe, that the sun doesn't revolve around the earth. Well, move inside this dome, that the sun is not moving inside this dome, and the moon is not moving inside this dome. They were persecuted by the church for this. And then it is, so we're looking at, for 1,000 years plus, the church forcing this, believing this, people who believe in this Bible believing in this. After that, when the earth is deemed to be a sphere, how did the church adjust? Did they just ignore it? Now, they found a couple of verses. They found a couple of verses that kind of give you an idea that the earth is spherical. They got a couple of them. In Isaiah 40:22, he sitteth upon the sphere on the earth. You got that one. You got Job 26:7. He stretched out the north over empty space and hangs the earth on nothing. So, I mean, kind of an idea of it floating in space, but that is not, connected to anything. You can kind of go spherical with that one. In Job 26:10, it talks about the circular horizon on the face of the waters for a boundary between light and darkness. You can kind of get a spherical teaching out of that one, but that's really about it. That's really about it. So beyond that, the earth is flat. Earth has a dome over it. Earth got pillars that hold up this flattish earth. The Bible don't say shit about no ice wall. That's what later flat earthers start creating, is this ice wall shit. And then there's a whole nother landmass beyond that. And then there's another ice wall and a landmass beyond that. I hate to be that ice wall people, the people in the middle, trapped in between two ice walls. So the Christians just ignore it. We're just gonna we're gonna go with science, and we're gonna ignore the fact that the Bible is saying that the earth is flat. So I think it's interesting that they did that. if they just decide to ignore that piece of information.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, Mary? Go ahead, Mary.
What are you talking about? Slaying and everything you're talking about. Okay. And then you get conscription from Christianity. But then again, yeah, you spit like the Bible never spoken no ice law. Today, the media and these people hold this information not supposed to be knowledge, these lies they've been hiding. Oh.
You kind of blinking in and out, so I don't know what you're talking about.
It's turning it.
Marion, Marion, stop talking for a second. Your phone keep going in and out, and there's noise in the background. Like there's a TV or something on. I don't know what you're talking about.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Turn the TV off. Or the volume.
I just did. I just
okay. All right. Now start again because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so hey, everything you was talking about, it's talking about this, then you went to the ice wall. But you deconstructing from Christianity. The ice wall is something that they're showing us now. Oh, people who supposed to hold the truth, lie about the truth, you know, they're exposing it now. So you just said that we don't speak of the ice wall. So therefore, you do reference, you still have some belief about what the Bible teach.
What are you talking about?
You hold on to it. And your mouth just said it. If it wasn't in your heart and your mental, you wouldn't let it come out of your mouth. You said the Bible don't speak on your conscience, have something referring to you. You still got this Bible, you know what I'm saying, your way of living, your way of believing. Because you said this Bible, first thing you answered, you didn't say your mama, your daddy, your teacher. You said the Bible.
So, Mary, are you saying that if I reference anything about what the Bible says or what the Bible doesn't say, then that means that I still believe in the Bible?
Well, at this point, what you was talking about the ice wall and what this situation, this conversation at the end. What? A lot of people's not even sure to believe about that.
Let me be clear. Let me be clear what I was saying. What I was saying is that the Bible teaches a flat earth. Although it doesn't say anything about an ice wall, you have flat earth people who says that there is an ice wall. Okay. That is not me saying that, oh, there is no ice wall because the Bible doesn't say there is no ice wall. I was just adding what the flat earthers have added to the flat earth idea from the Bible. You understand?
I understand, but you aren't speaking about that. But what about what they took in from it or how they twisted? See,
hold on. I gotta understand what you're saying in order for me to respond.
Other people are watching.
Oh my God!
The teacher, and you speaking of things about your opinion. Everything you speak about
your opinion. It's my opinion. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to Antarctica?
No.
I have.
Okay.
Have you ever been to the interior of Antarctica? Have you ever been to the interior of Antarctica? Not just the little islands that they let the tourists go to, but the part that's ran by the military. Have you ever been there?
Okay, you have more information.
Have you ever been there? Okay, I have. So don't say that I'm speaking from my opinion. I'm speaking for the ground that I touched, put my foot on, had all the cold weather gear on, did the exchange with the other country. So I've been there.
The other country? The other country, right? But what about the people outside this dome that we are under?
Oh my gosh. Are you not paying attention? Are you not paying
attention? No, you say you touched the ice, you walked on the ice, but what beyond the ice?
Because here's my point. There's no freaking ice wall. There was no ice wall. We flew over the joint, no problem. We flew over with no problem. No ice wall.
was on the water. I thought you was on the water. I thought you was sitting on the water. You was in the Navy.
God. I was in the Marine Corps. I was in the headquarters command. One of the jobs that we had to do was the transition from who was in control of guarding Antarctica from people trespassing. So I went down there as part of the transition, as part of the turnover. It was something that took like almost a year to do. And we flew over Antarctica multiple times. There's no damn ice wall. Visually seen with my own eyes.
Well, teach that to the people. Hey, what you speaking is just when you putting it out there, your information, you just like those people on the internet saying there is an ice wall. There is other worlds, other galaxies. You know, people don't know what to believe no more. But I believe in me, man. And I believe to speak over what like I'm doing.
You came on here talking about some these other people and the truth that they talking about. There ain't no damn truth to what them people talking about.
I say the truth, they lie. Whatever they say, everything I say. Don't try to point out what I
say what you're saying. Are you saying that the ice wall flat earth people are telling the truth? Let's clear it up right now.
Answer the question again.
Are the flat earth ice wall people telling the truth? Tell me now what your thought is.
See, for now, you've been judgmental because I don't know what
I'm asking the question. You said that they are not telling us the truth, but you said I'm not telling you the whole. I'm not saying the whole thing of what you said. So say the thing that you're saying. Who's not telling us the truth? Who's telling us the lies?
Those people that you was working for, and at the same time,
the people that I was working for is telling what? The truth or the lie?
The government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Come on, do I have to say it? Because I don't want you to go put a full background check on me. Sit down, motherfucking nobody. I see you put a boycott, but I ain't coming at you like that, man. I fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be misled. I don't want you to mislead nobody else. You mean well.
I only pull people shit who make threats. You make a threat, that's different. So are you saying that? Okay, so it's one thing. Does the government tell the people everything? Of course not. Of course not. We can't. If I were to tell you, if the government told you everything that comes across the threat matrix every day, you would not walk outside of your house. You wouldn't leave your house. You'd be so fucking afraid to breathe. So of course we don't tell you everything. Now, are there parts of the government that lies and are doing shit that's fucked up? And then it comes out 40, 50 years later. Yes, that kind of stuff happens, always happens. But when it comes to this ice wall thing, it comes to this Antarctica thing, my happy ass now been there and flew around the whole continent. So when these people come up with their little, the government lying about that. No. This is one of those cases where I've been there. So it ain't the government.
You've been there on that mission. It's a big ass world.
Hmm?
You went on that mission on that particular angle, that direction. Then that location.
That's what the ice wall supposed to be, bro. It ain't on the north.
I'm saying, how long you been living on Earth in the United States? Have you ever been to Mississippi? Have you ever been to Tennessee?
Yes.
You travel all the states in the United States.
Not all of them, most of them.
Okay, but it's a big ass world, and just where you were born.
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with? What does that have to do with me going to Antarctica? If I've been to a place, then I've been to a place, right?
I've been to Vegas before, but I ain't seen experience everything that Vegas has to offer.
You know that's a weak argument, bro. That's an incredibly weak argument.
That's the truth.
If you went to
I just brought it down to a whole nother level to make everyone else understand that you're not experienced.
No, it's a vague ass argument because you have to identify what the question is. You cannot just say that, oh, if you've been to Vegas, then you got to know everything about Vegas. But if I were to hold on.
You've been in article, you might not never see everything article had to offer, so you don't have anything to tell us about. Yeah, we just do right over it. But at the same time, the other people promoting this shit that the ICE all got this and got that, and that shit being more promoted than yours. So my argument is this: you have to do better. You got to show more. You got to get some.
No. Here's your mistake. Here's your mistake. I don't give a fuck about the. Hey, Marion, I let you speak. Don't fucking cut me off.
Okay, I apologize.
All right.
I apologize.
Number one, I don't really give a damn about the whole flat earth conversation. I actually was trying my damnedest to think of something else to talk about other than this bullshit, but this bullshit kept coming up in my brain today. That's the only reason I'm talking about it. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is that your argument is messed up in the sense that you are claiming that these other people, that they have shown you the ice walls and all that, and all they've shown you are certain parts of Antarctica where you can make it look like it is surrounded by an ice wall. They have never shown you whether they flew over or around the entire continent of Antarctica, which is easy to do. You can book that as a civilian and fly across Antarctica. So it is lies that they are telling you when you can go online right now and book a damn flight to fly you across Antarctica. And as far as saying if a person has been somewhere, unless they know everything about the place, then they don't know what they're talking about, is bullshit, because we're talking about one aspect, which would be like me saying that if you said that you went to Vegas and you stayed at the Bellagio and they had XYZ inside the Bellagio, then that is the only part of your experience of Vegas that needs to be verified, not that you got to know every damn thing else about Vegas. So you ain't got to know every damn thing about Antarctica if we're talking about the ice wall. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I the wrong way, man. And I didn't want to be lost. Like I heard you trying to get you to see what I was trying to get to. Like you speaking about something like it's far more than what you were speaking about that I want to know, because I heard a lot and it showed a lot of lies or a lot of truth. I don't fucking know.
They ain't showed you shit.
What you mean they ain't showed you shit? The internet I heard.
What I'm saying is when they show you that they are at the ice wall, either it is some CGI or what they're showing you is that they go up, and there are many parts of in and around Antarctica where there are giant ice cliffs, right? And they will claim that that is the ice wall. But you can fly right on over those cliffs, and then after you fly over those cliffs, you start to see the mountain ranges and some parts that's not covered with ice at all. It's just landscape that just changes. You can easily fly over what they claim to be the ice walls. You understand what I'm saying? And you can take a civilian chartered flight and do that. You ain't even got to be military.
Oh, you still talking about the one part in Antarctica?
That's
no civilian copter or no regular helicopter take you through no country. Just man, stop it.
You can fly.
You talking about a town? You talking about the area? You talking about the area you was at?
Dude, you can fly across. You can fly past. You can fly across Antarctica. You can't land, but you can fly part. You can fly over. Okay. Go online, since you love the internet. Go online and try to find you a flight that goes across Antarctica. You can chart. It has to be a charter flight though. There's no regular Delta flight or nothing like that. It's a charter flight. You have to specifically charter it to do so. It's crazy. This is why I didn't want to talk about flat Earth. I really didn't want to. I didn't. I wanted to talk about something else. Vincent.
Man, you know it's crazy.
What is that?
Can you explain gnosis?
What do you mean explain gnosis? Gnosis is knowledge.
Gnosis, can you explain gnosis?
It is knowledge, to know.
One thing is this. I don't know what it is to be a doctor. I don't know what it is to be a dentist. I don't never walk that field, never walk that life. So there's certain things I can't talk about. I've never been to Antarctica, so I can't say what this shit look like. So what I feel like what people should do is understand and realize where they at and stay where you at. And if you want to explore, explore. That's it. I don't want to be on here too long.
All right. But I understand what he's saying. I get what Vincent is saying. Vincent, I mean, people like to sit on the shoulders of other people, and we should, though. And in one sense, we should, but we should only sit on the shoulders of people whose information has been validated, right? Like there's a gentleman in this who's asking, why can't you land? Well, there are no cities, no towns, there's no airstrips that are not government facilities or research facilities on Antarctica. Now, if you charter in with a research team, you can land there with them. Most of those are on the edges or on some of the islands. The ones that are on the main continent are certain research facilities that are ran by international agencies that are supported by the international community, international government, and is there to for science experiments and for ecological experiments and things of that nature. Antarctica is an incredibly protected landmass, right? And it's not really livable anyway. Like nobody's gonna really live there. It's fucking negative everything. But if you charter a flight and you fly past the in the deeper interior, you cannot land. There's nowhere to land, because there's nothing built there. But you can't land. And that's huh?
So y'all military, y'all went over there, y'all ain't fucked shit up. Y'all ain't did that. Y'all preserved it.
No, we just it's just you had 9 countries that came to an agreement that no one was going to spoil this land or be on this land or try to control this land. This happened after World War II. The last thing you needed was another war fighting over some frozen ass tundra. So they got together and said that we're not going to fight over this land. We're just going to preserve it. Some expeditions went in there and so on and so forth. And then every so many years, the who's in charge of guarding it changes. That's all. And we was doing a change when I was at Headquarters Marine Forces Europe. I mean, and it wasn't just us, that went down there. It was, Central Command, Southern Command,
You can talk about this freely.
Yeah, this part, yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, you can really talk about this? I thought y'all ain't supposed to talk about shit.
It depends on what it is. You ask me about if it was certain other things, then no. But in this instance, it's not a deeply classified thing that we have. I think it was 7 nations back in the day, but I think it's 9 nations now. That there's a 9-nation or 7-nation turnover that guards Antarctica. Does it
have a name?
I don't know. No, I mean it's just.
Oh, I'm just asking.
No, you just send it. Just do a general Google search of it, and then you can go down to the Falkland Islands or Argentina, and you can take a cruise that takes you to Antarctica. Most of the spots you're going to stop is the island sites, but there's some continental land sites that you'll stop at that you can go to. But you could go to Antarctica. It's not that big a deal. It's cold as hell.
I don't like cold.
Right now is the perfect time to go because I think this is summertime for them.
I'm cool. I don't want to go nowhere cold.
Yeah, this is the time to go because it's summertime, which means that you still gonna be like -30, but it's summertime. You can still get a blizzard.
Negative? You said negative?
Well, no, it wouldn't be -30 right now. It might be like about -10, -7.
Coach, I can only do 50.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be surprised what you could do.
Man, I can only do 50. I've been to Big Bear, and I didn't like that.
Yeah.
My legs got numb. I'm good.
No. But anyway, let's move. I don't want to belabor this point too long.
Go ahead, man. Get back on your thing, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Vincent. Oh man. So I'm stuck on that damn shit. I tell you, I was trying not to talk about that damn. Okay, I guess she didn't hold. All right. You say I'm getting paid by the government, Chuck? $5,000 a month to hide the truth. Nah. You don't have to pay me more than that. You got to pay me more than that. I know I missed some of you guys' comments. Let me see if I can. Right. It's not just about preservation. There are things that the public is not supposed to know about. You're absolutely right. There are certain things that the government does that y'all don't need to know we're doing. When I was in the Marine Corps, I can't speak to what's happened since or in other places, but when I was in the Marine Corps, and there was shit going on that the American public don't need to know. Y'all, if y'all knew there would be anarchy in the streets because people need to live in a dream. Now, sometimes some of the things that are happening are very fucked up and should not happen, but there are plenty of things that happen for your own safety, your own protection. Y'all think y'all want to know, but you don't really want to know. You don't. Anunnaki runs the military. See, that's the kind of stuff that be flowing all out to the left.
Yes,
Eric.
sir.
How you doing?
Man, I just want to comment real quick on a dude that you had before, the Marion dude.
Yeah.
So his argument was that unless you're that Antarctica actually had ice walls, right? And that you don't know a whole lot about. You can't say you know that whether that's true or not because you haven't been in every part of Antarctica. Was that his argument?
Yeah, that was one of them.
Now see, this is where basic common sense come in and studying and learning shit and reading shit. Antarctica is a landmass that has a thick ass sheet of ice over top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no fucking walls. If you paid attention in school, you'd have figured that out. Even he had that argument.
No.
And that's the point. That's one of the points that I try to explain to people. Don't listen to what everybody tells you because people gonna give you their perception of what they think the truth is. You gotta go figure it out for yourself. You can't just listen to what people tell you and then take this shit and apply this fact. Because somebody can tell you a fucking lie, and before you know it, you walk around just telling the same lie the person told you, and now you look like a bigger liar.
Exactly.
So Marion, before you go start debating on shit that you really don't know nothing about, pick a book up, man. Read it. All right, I'm out.
All right, appreciate it, Eric. Yeah, funny. All right, God damn it, we're not getting to what I wanted to do. This ain't going the way I wanted it to go. Not going the way I wanted it to go. Why do Christians not believe that the earth is flat? Do I have any Christians on here? Are there any Christians, Bible believers on here? And if you are a Bible believer, do you believe that the earth is flat? And my question is, why don't you, since the Bible says that it is? Right? You should believe that there's a dome over the earth. So therefore, and this is why another reason why I don't like talking about this. If you are a Bible believer, you should not accept that. Well, no, actually, that one wouldn't work. I just thought about that. I was going to say, oftentimes the flat earthers, the ones who believe that there's a dome that's over the earth, they do not believe. So if you are a Bible believer, but you don't think that the moon is inside the dome, then you're not believing how the Bible says you should. So you should believe in the moon landing if you believe in a flat earth. You should believe that we went to the moon because the moon is inside the atmosphere, inside the dome, right? So there's an impenetrable dome over the earth. Vincent, I think you hit it by accident. That thing. But it shouldn't that be also the belief of those who believe in the Bible? That we definitely landed on the moon because the moon is inside of the dome. So it wouldn't be the dome that prevents us from getting there. The man over here on TikTok, he said, ain't no dome, maybe a ship. Ain't no landing on the moon. Come on, man, make up your mind now. You gotta. He thinks that Anunnaki runs the earth. So I see where you're thinking. I see why you think the way you think. Okay. It's shaped like a butternut squash. Why would we live on a ball? That question alone should be answered intellectually before anything else. Because every damn thing else that we observe in the universe is spherical in some form or fashion. It is spherical. We have not observed anything in the known universe to be a flat-ish plane with a dome on top and some pillars underneath. We have not seen Asgard. And the science don't work on the flat earth. But here's the thing. He said 900 universe. If you do believe that there's a dome that's covering the earth, then you can't put the moon outside the dome, as many of them do. The moon is inside the dome. See, that's how you can tell if you're talking to a person who just believes in a flat earth or a person who believes in a flat earth, because the Bible says that it's a flat earth. Look at this joker talking about something. You ain't, we haven't observed shit. You ain't going off what they tell you. Yeah, too bad that anybody can go outside with the naked eye and you can see planets. Too bad you can go out and you can buy you a $100 telescope. You can observe the moon, you can observe Mars, Venus, and Mercury. Get you about a $500 telescope pattern, but you can see it real well with one of them about $500 to $1,000 telescopes. You can really see it. Yes, and if you observe it over time, you, especially Jupiter, like this is the part that's funny as shit to me. If you were to track Jupiter over the course of months or a year, you could see the red storm dot that's on Jupiter traveling around the damn ball of Jupiter. You would see it go across the face, go behind it, and then if you calculate the time using math, you'll know exactly when it starts coming back into visual sight again and goes around again. You can watch the damn red dot. And see, that's the beautiful part about it, is that you have a point on Jupiter that you can watch and see the shit happen and go around. You see, it's not like watching Mars. If you watch Mars, you can't, there's no identifying mark that you can say that, oh, because you see, but you can see but yes, you can still see the shape that it is a sphere. Just like if you have a decent telescope, hell, you gotta have a decent telescope. I can do it with my phone. I can take a picture when it's a full moon. I can take a picture of the moon, and just with that picture, it demonstrates that the moon is a fucking sphere. So all these people are like, oh, you just go with what they tell you. A lot of these things you can find out for yourself. A lot of it you can find out for yourself. It is so easy. It's not that damn hard. All you can see is light. No, my guy. I wish, let me see. I wonder. I wonder, let me see. it amazes me how people just don't, just basic science shit. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe there's a part of humans that certain humans that makes them just want to not trust anything, or gotta have something that's off. I don't know if I ever posted those pictures, or maybe Angelina did, but that was when we was in Wilmington. I think really good pictures of, oh nope, there we go. I'm gonna show you. I can't. Now, what I'm gonna show y'all here on Facebook and YouTube. What I'm gonna show y'all in just a second here. Let me get back over here. Hey, Facebook and YouTube. And all you iPhone users. This is a picture I took with my Android for Mr. Calica, who's saying that all you can see is light. I took this picture with my Android. You see how it demonstrates, you can see the depth which creates the spherical nature of the image of the picture with my Android. This is a picture of the moon that I took with my Android. Because the light, when light bounces off a spherical object, it creates depth as far as what depth is created. That's better. Yeah, I took this with my Android. I took that with my, I'm just showing you what I took with my Android. You can, I don't know what place you live, where you live, Calica, but all you got to do, go to a planetarium, and where one that allows you to look through their telescopes. Like I wish you lived in Atlanta, then I was thinking you to the Fernbank Science Center, and they allow you to look through their big giant ass telescope, and you can look at, you can, instead of that fuzzy ass picture that you may take of Mars with your phone, you can get a deep look at Mars. That's the beauty of it. You can go to a planetarium and you can see. Matter of fact, me and my wife, last time we was, not last time, but one of the times we was in Atlanta, we went to the planetarium, and because it was a great night to see Saturn, and they got the big joint telescope, and guess what you can see? You can see the sphere. We saw the spherical nature of Saturn. See, I like when people just like to say, talk about, you know, oh, what they say. When most of the things you can go and visually do or see yourself. You can just go see shit for yourself. You ain't got to take nobody's word for Jupiter. You can go see it for yourself. Or if you one of them big $1,500, $2,000 telescopes, go and get you one of them. I know I said $500 earlier, but I'm thinking back in the day when I bought a telescope. You can go get you a really good telescope. You good. Chuck said, that's a Masonic NASA picture code. That's a picture I took with my goddamn phone, my Android, my 4-year-old Android. But what does being a Mason have to do with anything? That's the always thing that kicked me to. People who don't know nothing about Masonry, ain't never been a Mason, like to talk about Masons, you know, but don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, yeah, I used to be a practicing Mason, so what? The moon is a spaceship. I wish. I would love for the moon to be a Dyson sphere. I honestly would. It would be great if the moon was a Dyson sphere. Anyway, oh my gosh, the moon is a reptilian base. That's right, because that's where your soul gets sucked into, and they eat you for energy, and then they send you back so you can create a new soul. Isn't that the reptilian moon base? What you call them shits? Conspiracy theory. Let's say it is, and they watch from the moon. Oh my gosh, this is why I didn't want to have this conversation. Oh my! I know Thanos gonna get me. What would this was supposed to attract some Christians, and I wanted to know with the Christians why they don't believe in flat Earth. But I see that it brought on the other version that I was hoping not to see before. You can see Venus early in the morning on the East Coast. Exactly. You can see Venus on, well, not just on the East Coast, just in the East. You can see it. But you can, Venus is where they get the idea of Lucifer, the morning star. Which, so anytime in the Bible where it talks about Lucifer, it's talking about the planet Venus. It's not talking about the damn fallen angel. This man said that Masons were founded by the Jesuits and NASA to cover up the real shape of the earth. You do realize that the modern day Masonry was founded well before NASA ever came into being. The United States was still a baby when Masonry was founded. Actually, wasn't even really a baby. It wasn't even in existence. The United States wasn't even in existence when modern day Masonry was established. See, that's people just making up stuff. Just making up stuff. It's the Freemasons, not the Masons. Oh my gosh, it amazes me how other people draw distinctions between a group that group itself doesn't draw distinction. What you're misinterpreting is the idea of this. There are the ancient free and accepted Masons, which are what you would call Freemasons. There's there's the Prince Hall Masons. Prince Hall Masons don't necessarily call them, didn't originally use the term Freemasons as much, but it is still under the same idea of Freemasonry. So to put it in, to shorten it up for you, the idea of Freemasonry is the fact that in order to become a Mason, you cannot be a bondman, you cannot be a slave, right? So that's why it's called Freemasonry, because there were Mace people who learned the art of Masonry back in the day. This is the actual like building shit, who were slaves, but those slaves could never become a Freemason. So that's the distinction. But by the time you have the reestablishment of Freemasonry out of England, it is simply all just Freemasonry, not the separation between thank you, LTKK, stonemasons and Freemasonry. One is just the occupation, the other one is the actual brotherhood. And there are no Freemasonry situations that Freemasonry was around long before NASA. So the whole thing that NASA created, Jesuits created Freemasonry so that it can cover up the shape of the earth. The shape of the earth is not that big a deal. That's the sad part about it, is that it's not that big a deal. All right. What would it matter? It was stolen from Egypt. Okay, so wrong term of word. It was not stolen from Egypt. It was just Masonry is two different things. It has two distinct histories on that one. It is not stolen from Egypt. It was learned in Egypt, established in Egypt, and then went out into the world. So nothing was stolen from Egypt. They were allowed to learn it and allowed to take it back to their home countries. And just modern day just uses Solomon's temple and uses that. Just uses Solomon's temple as a basis instead of using the Egyptian rites. But yes, John, the roots of masonry is the ancient Egyptians. The builders of the temples. Okay, I see. The man here on TikTok, he's still caught up so much in race and have to deal with race that it has to be stolen because masonry today is primarily ran by white people. So then it has to be stolen. It cannot be the fact of the history of that. The history is that it was freely taught and freely given. So it was never stolen. But this would, yeah, I ain't even gonna get into it. That becomes a process of getting past your own personal racism in order to see things for exactly what they are, not how you want them to be or how your emotions are moving you to feel. Right. And that's one of the problems that that's one of the biggest problems that you have in this world is that people are viewing things through their emotional programming that they have instead of viewing things as to it is what it is. Oh, hell no. What is your proof that the Hebrews built Egypt? Since the fact of the matter is that, thank you. Since the fact of the matter is there was no such thing as a Hebrew when Egypt had already had thousands of years of dynastic periods. The first dynasty in Egypt is around 3500 BCE. The first mentioning of an Israelite is not until 1208 or 1204, 1208, whenever the Merneptah Stela. So we have literally over 2,000 years of dynastic Egypt before there ever was a Hebrew. So how can you claim the Hebrews built Egypt? Hebrews didn't build shit. Matter of fact, there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever that there was ever a large group of Hebrews in Egypt. But they asses were conquered living in the Levant by Egypt, which is most likely where they manifested their story. Y'all love to believe in stuff to try to make. I see. Okay. The mind is an amazing thing of waste. The same way the Hebrews built America is the same way they built Egypt by slavery. So there's absolutely zero evidence of any Hebrew slaves and a large number of Hebrew slaves ever in Egypt. There's not even proof of a Hebrew slave in Egypt. But I will allow for there might have been some Hebrew slaves in Egypt, since Egypt controlled the Levant during the time frame where Israelites were first mentioned. And if Merneptah claims he kicked their ass, so it's likely that he took some slaves and took them back at that time frame around 1200 BCE. Now, so as far as building the nation that is Egypt, no Hebrew slave built that. As a matter of fact, the Egyptians even demonstrate that most of the people who built the shit there were paid employees, highly paid employees. So no Egyptian slave, no Hebrew slaves built a goddamn thing in Egypt. And the slaves that came and did the labor in America, them motherfuckers weren't Hebrew. West Africans were not Hebrews. But see, I see how this goes. And now this gives me understanding as to the mindset of the person. Who is this? Who am I talking to? Carla Thomas. You better not be Carla Thomas that I know from Marietta that I grew up with, but Carla Thomas caught up into the whole Hebrew Israelite movement. And because of that Hebrew Israelite movement, it says that the Israelites were slaves in Egypt. And then Deuteronomy 28 says that they're going to come and sail away on ships and go back to Egypt. Even though it has a definite article, which means Egypt, the actual land. But no, they transfer that to take that to mean the transatlantic slave trade. And so now they got to make every black person who's over here in America Hebrews, and that they are the slaves. We're not. I'm not. My ancestors weren't. And if you're the Carla Thomas that I grew up in high school with, I know for a fucking fact that your family is not either. So no. And I hope that you're not that Carla Thomas. Because me and your brother, we had a long conversation about that when we was in Haifa. And he know his family's not from there. That his family's not no damn Hebrews. Oh my gosh. Oh, and here goes one of my favorite little statements, kind of stated. This man will regurgitate anything that the white man tells him. As fact, they were slaves, but had chains around their necks on the walls. Yes, right. They were slaves. Now, I'm assuming that you're talking about the fact that I said that it demonstrates that the primary builders of the temples and palaces and whatnot in Egypt were paid employees. There's more hieroglyphics that demonstrate that than what demonstrates the ones who were doing in basic labor work in chains. Now, some of the basic labor work was always done by those who were in chains. Sure, grant you that, not a problem. Now, the whole idea that a person repeats information that the white man tells them just shows that you have absolutely no idea of the research that I've done and how I've done my research throughout my life. You're just making your assertions without thinking or asking even the slightest question. It's not double talk. The primary builders were paid employees, dude. Were some of the lower employed people building shit? Some of them were slaves, yes. Is there any evidence of them being Hebrew slaves? Absolutely not. So no. So it's not double talk. It's just you have a lack of understanding. Now, back to what I was saying though. Research. If you can only take research from a group of people that look like you, then you're always going to find yourself only knowing one side of a story. You have to be able to get and look at research from whomever the research is coming, providing the information, just as long as the information is valid. When I read Black Rose, White Justice, does it matter if the writer is black or white? It doesn't. Doesn't matter if the writer is black or white. When I read the ISIS papers, does it matter if the author is black? Or does it matter if the author is white? No, doesn't matter. What matters is the validity of the information that's being provided. That's all that's matter. That's all that matters. I don't care who writes. What I care about is how true is the information that they're writing about. So if you gave me a black person who wrote some bullshit, it's going to be bullshit. If you gave me a white person who writes some bullshit, it's going to be bullshit. It don't matter. See, that shows a lack of maturity when your only thing is concerned about who's doing the writing. That's the only thing. Now, whoever the author is very important because you're going to get a slant from that author. This is why one of the greatest quotes that I've ever heard was back in the day with KRS-One. If you don't know the history of the author, then you don't know what you're reading. So you do want to know who's writing what, because that gives you an idea of their perspective. But then you read the information. Then you read the counterpoint to the information. You try to get and narrow it down as close to the possible truth that you possibly can, depending upon what it is. Now, some things, you don't need it. It's just going to be what it's going to be. It's just going to be what it's going to be. Now, you can go to Ghana and you can see the prison / holding port. I don't need you to tell me about it. You can go there and you can see it. You can go to Egypt and you can see the Meta Netchers on the walls. You can see the tablets. You don't, unless, now what you will need at that point is translation, unless you take the time to learn how to read them. But then even when you take the time to learn how to read them, who you learn to read them from? Because there can be a difference between you going to school in America and learning English, and if you go to England and you go to school and you learn English, most of it's going to be the same, but there are some differences. And depending upon what those differences are, it could cause a problem or not. Something simple. If you've been in England or you know enough about England, you would know the difference. The difference between this and this. What does this mean? What does this mean? If you was in England, but what does this mean? And what does this mean if you're in America? So, okay, first, if you're in England, what does this mean? And if you're in England, what does this mean? Let me see how many people know. It should be, y'all should know. This is almost common knowledge. It said peace. Kevin would have said peace. In England, this does not mean peace. In England, this means up yours. This is the, fuck you, up yours. This is an insult in England. If you do somebody like that, you're like, you motherfucker. So when Americans go into bars in England and they say, let me get 2 beers, you're saying, let me get 2 beers, motherfucker. The person, they may recognize that you're an American and you just don't know how to act in England. They may change it. So that's why you go there. This is 2 beers. Now in America, let me get 2 beers, not a problem. In America, let me get 2 beers, not a problem. In America, peace. In America, peace. So my point is, when you are learning anything, you have to understand who you're learning from. Yes, because who you're learning from, you can have a different understanding based on how they, what their opinion and what their thoughts are. So this is why it's always good to, if you're going to read about a subject matter, read at least 2 or 3, 4 different authors so that you can get a cross reference. But when you only read from one author and you have just one idea, you're not going to get me into that one, Eric. Eric thinks he's funny. Eric said, what's a cigarette called in England? You now see that one, you'll get my damn channel banned. Mm-hmm. Because your comments are late. That's why I said that. Ain't nothing you or the government can run game on me. I'm really not trying to run game on you. It's not that deep. What is your name? Oh, you calling yourself God, Ra, Key. I call you Ra. Anyway, so you have to, it's on the screen, like you can see the mixture of Facebook and YouTube, but Eric's comment was what you call a cigarette in England, and he's trying to set me up for the fall. A square? No, it's not called a square, Kevin. Sean just put it on there what it's called. So you should be able to see on the screen at the bottom where it says Sean, what Sean's name was. That's what it's called. No, not a butt. But anyway, This is why you got to know the difference of the people who you're reading. That's all. That's the only point I was getting at. And that's why, you know, when I was back in my 20s, I was super late teens, early 20s. I was super Black Power. So I only read books from Black authors. If you weren't a Black author, then your information was invalid. If you weren't but then you know what I had a problem with? When it came to archaeology. You know what there wasn't hardly any of in the 90s? Black archaeologists, Black Egyptologists, Black Assyriologists. There weren't. In some of those categories, there were none. Like Assyriology, back in the 90s, there were no Black Assyriologists. None, not to one. And I don't mean just Black Americans. I mean Black period. None from England, none from Africa, none from the Middle East, none from nowhere. No Europeans, no Americans, none. No Black Assyriologists in the 90s. So if I wanted to know about Assyriology, you know what? Let me cross-reference the people who are talking about it, the people who do know about it. And that's when I stopped being caught up in my information must only come from Black people, that every white person is evil and trying to corrupt and control the Black. And that's when I stopped being enslaved by race, as many people are still enslaved by race today, just with their mindset. Because the only way you can accept information, if it has to come from somebody who look like you, you're still going to have a problem. Because a lot of people who look like you are not going to agree with you either. Just like this whole thing about the earth is flat. Coach, would you say that Rupert is saying, Coach, would you say that Noah and the Hebrews have the same bloodline? If I was believing in the Bible, then I would have to say that, yeah, Noah and the Hebrews have the same bloodline. Is there any proof of that? Absolutely not. So since I don't believe in your Bible whatsoever, no, it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter. But if so let me put it correctly. Based on the Bible, Noah has his son Shem. The line of Shem becomes the Hebrews. So that is the line that the Hebrews would fall under, is through Shem, which is problematic and demonstrates, like in the video I did yesterday about this guy being a bad father. If this guy thought that Noah and his 3 sons were good to go, then all 3 sons' lines should have become children of this God. But instead, just like every bad father out there who chooses a favorite son, this God chooses a favorite son. Now, you may be able to say Ham, you can kick him to the rocks because he supposedly did something, even though he didn't really do anything bad. But Japheth didn't do anything wrong. But this God chooses not to bless the line of Japheth. And later on, there are lines of Japheth that are deemed to be evil and must be conquered and all this sort of thing. If it was so important for this guy to reestablish a good humanity on the planet, then only Shem and his children, only Shem should have survived. Shem and his wife. Or did this guy just use Ham and Japheth's line just so that there wouldn't be too much brother sister fucking? Because that's what it would have had to happen. He would just have Shem and his kids, Shem and his wife. Then their children would just have to bang each other, and then their children would have to bang each other. But at least if you got, your other brothers, you can do some cousin fucking. See. Look at this. Probably because that was the son that kept the faith. Absolutely, you have absolutely no knowledge of that, to be honest. And now that I think about it, can you really claim that? Does Abraham come from Shem? The city of Ur, the people in the city of Ur, do they come from Shem? I can't think of it right offhand. I know that they list Abraham's dad. So I answered that first one without thinking about it deeply. I would have to go back and look it up. I would have to look that up real quick. I'm curious. If because I don't. So you know you got. Where do you get the? So it's supposedly go, and I don't know where they get the timeline from. I know you're not getting it in Genesis, that's for damn sure. But it goes from Noah to Shem to Faxhad, Selah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Sherug, Nahor, Terah, and then Abraham. I would imagine that is probably somewhere within Chronicles, which then I would have to give it about as much credibility as I would give the rest of the Bible. Because here's the thing: this is why it's such a fairy tale. Genesis doesn't tell you anything as far as Abraham's lineage that goes back to Shem. This is something that is written thousands of years later by some author who is running around writing chronicles, most likely. So no, I'm not going to accept that Noah is Hebrew. They made him Hebrew because they connected their stories like that. Yeah, I'm not accepting that. And that's just somebody. Right. So Isaac, I can always count on Isaac. The Bible says Abraham came from Shem and Shem came from Noah. So Abraham came from Noah, meaning Hebrews came from Noah. You got to do better. And that's about how they make it work in their mind. But that credibility, Isaac, think about it, Isaac, that credibility only comes from the establishment of Abraham going back to Shem through Chronicles. Because when you look at the Genesis story, it just has the children Shem them created, and you know Shem them survived the flood, and then they have it names a few children that they have, which it's naming these children to identify people groups, even though these people groups were already in existence. It's just trying to create people groups. And then it has the Tower of Babel, and then the Tower of Babel, then the people disperse themselves, and then out of Ur he calls Abraham. There's actually nothing in Genesis that connects Abraham to Noah. So here is the writer of Chronicles just making shit up, just creating a history for themselves. So I don't give it any validity whatsoever. And this guy totally believes the Holy Scriptures. I can see it in his eyes. That's like you try. I love how they try so hard to make me part of their team. No, it's not going to work. If you see some gleam in my eyes, because this cigar and this coffee is working very well together, because this one it's been able to sit for about 30, 40 days. So it has a great bouquet to it. And my wife she makes some great coffee. Oh, I ain't getting into your little stupid the white man stuff. No, I get what you're saying, Isaac. But Isaac, just think about that for a second, though. You know, the only connection that you have from Abraham to Noah really comes from somebody writing in Chronicles. It is not actually in Genesis. It's not in there. How you figure Jesus was African? Jesus was not African. First of all, there was no such thing as an African in the sense that any person at that time frame would have considered themselves that in the same way we look at it today. He was a Middle Eastern. That's because that's what we call it today. So in truth, if there was a Jesus character who lived, he was a Hebrew, an Israelite. He was a Galilean. He would have identified as a Galilean. Now you can make up stuff and say, oh, well, he was on the African plate. So that makes him African. It's sad that if you believe in a God that you then have to make the God be like you in order to believe in it. Well, no, let me rephrase that. Isn't that the interesting aspect of it? You have to make the God be as close to like you in order for you to believe in it. And any other versions of it has to be some fake, some unreal thing. And then you have to take how you think today and put that on the people back then in order for you to believe in it. If I got to change the God 11 different ways to hell, why do I even need that God? Right? Like every race does that. When the Romans took over Christianity, he went from being a brown skinned Galilean man and became more European, even up to this day. European. Like everybody have a tendency to make God be like them, which I would rather believe that there are 11 different gods, because at least if there's 11 different gods, it will explain all the bullshit that goes on this planet. It will be more acceptable for all the bullshit that goes on this planet, because at least that would be a common factor. Every god fights every other gods and send their people to go fight every other person because you're just cannon fodder for the fight of the gods. You see, this is how they got to get into their color thing. Esau was a black man. He was red. Now look up a red cow and you will see it is a brown cow. Esau came from the same mama daddy as Jacob. Motherfucker gonna be the same. If what we call race is gonna be the same. You look at me, you look at my brother. My brother is a little bit lighter brown than me. Our sister is a whole hell of a lot lighter brown. Back in the day, they used to call her red bone. It don't matter. Like this dude named Ness. Oh, Ness is perfect. Ness looks like when I was first came into the Marine Corps, I met this dude named Ness. Ness looks like a white dude with a little pigmentation. His brother was darker than me with an afro. His sister looked like straight Mexican. His parents, his daddy being half black, half Mexican, and his mama being half white, half Mexican. Go figure that they kids would come out all looking like different aspects of the parents' lineage. Some of these people get so caught up into race. And then what you show is that your Bible consistently shows that racism is okay. It's okay for you to hate somebody. Just like your God said that he hated Esau, but Jacob he loved. Right? You can't help but be racist because the God that you believe in is a racist. It was called ethnocentrism back then. That's what it been based on, your ethnicity. But just like race is made up, ethnicity is made up. It's all made up. If I cut your ass, you're going to bleed red. If we have sex, if a man and a woman have sex, no matter what ethnic group they come from, they going to produce a baby. You ain't producing shit else. You're going to produce a baby. You ain't going to produce a lion. You ain't producing a gorilla. You're not going to produce an elephant. All right. That's all you're going to produce is another freaking human being. And it seems your God can't understand that. The God of the Bible can't understand none of that. It thinks that if you produce if you have a child, then it's going to be the lineage of the father. And then you got people who argue the fact that no, the children, the lineage is of the mother. How about the lineage is both of them? Right? It's all stupid. And you get caught up in some of the dumbest aspects of it as well, you know, about the color of a person's skin, the texture of their hair, their cultural norms, and all this stuff. Space Soviet said that Soviets tried to crossbreed humans with chimps and it didn't work well. No, it won't. Because although we may share, what is it, like 98% DNA, yeah, that 2% it means something. It means something. Just like when Adam was in there banging all the animals and he couldn't find a helpmeet. So then this God had to put him to sleep so that he could take a rib out and make Eve. And then he had a good helpmeet, something that he can have a baby with. Because this God had to watch and see first if Adam can have a baby with all the other animals when he was banging the animals. And then he decided to make a woman. You think God would have known that from the beginning and wouldn't have to have him bang all the animals? That's just what the book say. That's how your book teaches these things. You know. You can learn something. Oh my gosh. This part here. Adam has a seed and Satan has a seed too. See Genesis. Satan don't exist in Genesis, dude. I mean, young lady, sorry. Satan don't exist in Genesis. There is no Satan in Genesis. And Satan and the devil are not one and the same. There is no devil in the Old Testament. You don't get a devil till you get to the New Testament. They're not one and the same. So Satan is an angelic being who holds an office in the story of Job in the Old Testament. The serpent is created right when all the other animals are created in order to see which one Adam will find as a helpmeet. And then after Adam stopped banging all of the animals and then find out that there neither would be a helpmeet, then he makes woman. And then, you know, the serpent, then, you know, that's begotten. So, yeah. And yes, there are some other Satans in the Old Testament, but there is not a Satan in the garden. The serpent is not Satan. So, yeah, no, it's not the Ha-Satan, the Satan. And you're right. Not all men are the seed of Adam, because no man is the seed of Adam, because no man is the seed of Adam. But actually, but if you were a believer of this Bible, every man on the planet is the seed of Adam, according to this Bible. When people say that it is the seed of Satan, it is because they are believing that Eve had sex with the serpent, and her having sex with the serpent produced Cain, right? Now that generally that is coming from the book, I think it's called the Apocryphon of Adam or something like that, is where people get that idea. But in the book of Genesis, there's absolutely nothing that suggests that she had sex with the serpent. But even if that was the fact, even if that was the case, it is still the fact that Adam had sex with Eve, and they had Seth. From the line of Seth, you get Noah and his sons, right? Now, the flood killed everybody else. So everybody then came from the seed of Noah's sons. And since Noah comes from the seed of Seth and Seth comes from the seed of Adam, then every man on the planet would be from the seed of Adam. So you see how those statements don't work even within your own Bible? Like, do people really think through this book before they make some of these statements? Did you follow me now on that one? Follow me now. Adam had Seth. Seth goes all the way down to have Noah. Noah, then his 3 sons, they go and they get in the boat and they go through the storm. And through the storm, they're the only ones that survive. So the seed that you call Cain, if he was for the seed of the devil, all his generations are dead. Every last one of them dead. The only seed that is still existed is the one that come from Adam. So then every man is from Adam. You don't even think through your own story. God dang. Think through your own story. This is one of the things and one of the reasons why I deconstructed from this Bible. Because I thought through the stories. So please think about your story before you believe something. There are people going around teaching you that, oh, she had sex with the serpent, so that's how they produce Cain. So every man is not from Adam. But then you don't even think about the whole flood, which would jeopardize that whole thought process. Oh, hell. Let me move this microphone. Make sure y'all can hear this.
Did you just claim hell? Sir, you have no evidence for this bullshit.
What up, Bishop Nub?
What's up, brother? Say, something came to my mind. You're a devil dog, right?
Hoorah.
Okay. So you had mentioned that yesterday you had moments of time that you had thought about certain particular situations hypothetically happening. But doesn't your song say from the shores of Tripoli? Like, weren't you the aggressor? As
So yeah, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea.
I just gotta say, Tripoli. Last time I looked, I mean,
hold on. You see, the Barbary pirates, they was hijacking American ships, so we had to go put a stop to it.
Right.
Now,
what about
hold on, wait. Once we put a stop to it, remember President Adams at that time frame said that he declared in the Treaty of Tripoli that America is not a Christian nation.
That is true. Yet then they slipped in Public Law 89, point whatever it is, that says the Bible is the official word of God to the federal government.
But anyway, yes, we were somewhat the aggressors in responding to the thievery that was happening, sir.
Oh, so it was like the Christian situation. They smack you in the face and then you punch them and you punch them harder, but they're then the victims. Got it.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Or that other situation that happened over in that Gulf where I do believe there was a ship sunk and it was never we won't go into that. Shalom with that. Anyways, so flat earth. Yeah, any Christian debating using science, you're going to hell. You're going to hell in a handbag. You don't believe your Bible and you're full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it. You can't cope yourself out of this one.
No, you can't. And maybe that's why none have tried to come on here and debate the issue. And for the ones who Bible believers who have come on here, they are trying to talk about different things. They don't want to talk about the fact that the earth they have to consider the earth to be flat because of their biblical cosmology.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not a scientist for one, so I'm not qualified to make these assertions. However, I do qualify in the sense of I has observation. And the only thing that kicks my whole concept of the globe, that the number one thing is you cannot have containment or you cannot have a pressurized gas system without containment. An electric does not do that. That's my only major flaw with it. Other than I don't have, like, I've never been to space and I've never been to Antarctica. So it would be really dumb for me to say that I know things for facts.
Yeah. Well,
how about that?
How about, so you know that we're in winter, we're going into wintertime, right?
Do you remember yesterday I showed you hell?
Yeah, you showed me that evil white shit fall from the sky. Yes.
Yes.
But Australia is going into their summertime. How can that happen on a flat?
I'm not qualified to answer these questions, man. Like, I'm not stupid. I don't get like
it has to be some type of spherical shape on a tilted axis in order.
I would say that here's my assessment of it. I would say that if we were told the truth, we would all go nuts. And if we were to continue to be told lies, we would continue to also be all nuts. So either way, it's mixed nuts and we're all just fruitcake. And nobody wants that shit.
It's true. Nobody wants fruitcake, but you still just, you can't believe in both is my point. Like, I don't want to
and I agree.
I really care less about the people who do the flat earth thing. I don't really care. The whole point of this conversation is you can't have it both ways. Right.
And you can't be saying, well, the sun is 53 million miles away, but then your God says, no. So who do you trust? Galileo? Or do you trust your God?
Yeah.
Because if it's not true, then Galileo was put to the stake for no reason, right?
Yeah.
People don't die for beliefs that give me a breath.
Right. And you cannot believe that estimation of light years because all the stars were placed inside of the dome as well. So
it's true. And the wandering stars that we know as planets, they will be judged at the day of judgment. What exactly are they being judged for? Wandering? That kind of makes sense because their God is an evil, wrathful God. So if you wander and acquire knowledge or wisdom, anything outside of your God, well, fuck, slavery and death and raping of your children and wife.
You got to believe in all that.
Seems legit.
Very much so. So
not only legit, but it's also in your book.
Mm-hmm. So I just want a Christian to come on here and tell me, or a believer, just show us how they can believe that in science and the Bible at the same time. It just don't work.
Let's try this. I'll pretend to be a Christian again. You ask me a couple of questions and I'll answer, and we'll see if it actually makes sense. Just 2 or 3 questions, then I'll go about my day.
Well, I mean, the first question would be, if the sun, do you believe that the sun, the moon, and all the stars are inside of a dome that covers the earth?
Yes, that is what the Bible says. Next question, please.
All right. So in believing that, then you believe that there is water outside of the dome, and the way that rain happens is because God opened windows.
Yes, that is what the Bible says. The Bible is infallible.
So the process of cloud accumulation, the process of seasons, because the sun and the tilt of the earth and all of that. So you don't believe that that's how those things happen?
No, that is not in the Bible. That is not how it happens. The Bible is true, and my God is smarter than you.
So you just stupid as fuck.
Basically. That's what my God says. He says I'm deserving of hell just for, like considering other things. So by my God standard, I'm just a useless sack of shit.
I mean, if you believe that cloud accumulation is not the process that rain happens, then hey.
No, that's not what the Bible says, sir. The Bible says windows in the sky. That's why we know the difference between aerosol injections and windows in the sky.
That's why we know the difference. Well,
yes.
Further,
it's not the funny people hat wearers that are aerosol injecting us to poison. No. That's God's plan, and it's all designed for our betterment. All right, I can't do this anymore. I'm physically sickened to my stomach. I need to smoke some weed or something. This is disgusting. I can't do it anymore.
You're gonna have some brain damage trying to be a Bible believer and knowing that this stuff don't happen. That there is no water above the dome, where there is no dome. Period. Like that would. I remember asking a Christian one time, if there is a dome, how do meteorites hit the earth?
Oh, well, those are fallen angels. They're falling from heaven.
Well, he didn't have an answer.
Well, there's that one in Russia. Don't you remember seeing that? It was like all curled up and it was like, I am God's angel. But it doesn't actually say anything, but it was found real deep. You didn't see that?
No.
Oh. It's because it was a good joke, but well, yeah, no. But I will say though, go ahead.
But you know how the Bible says that the stars will fall on the earth,
right?
So a Christian will have to believe that a star is real tiny.
Yes, microscopic.
Yeah, they're not these huge things, because the size of a star, it wouldn't fall on the earth. It would totally destroy the earth.
Yeah, I'm going to have to call bullshit. I do want to make one other thing very, very, very well known. Since you represent Texas down there in Texas, and I'm representing Minnesota up here on Minnesota. Now, Texas had some of those lovely Christians expressing the love of God to some young little children recently. I'm assuming you heard about that.
That was the guy he's the MAGA guy?
Yeah, the pedo. Well, let's not call him MAGA because, well, let's call it what it is.
But he is a MAGA guy.
Well, let's call it what it is.
He's a MAGA guy.
Right, and also pedo. So how do you tell them apart?
If he was a Democrat, I'd say he's a Democrat. I don't give a fuck.
I'm just being facetious.
Yeah, but you are.
Here on Minnesota, I see you're destroying it. Here on Minnesota, we had a wonderful situation, much like down there. Only when the pastor was asked, well, how many victims do you think there might be? He said possibly hundreds. So my question to you Christians is it right to report the pedophiles and get them removed away from these children? Or is it correct to forgive them and hug it out like they did here on Minnesota, when the father of the daughter, the pastor, and the chomo all got together in the parking lot with the victim and just hugged it out, and then we don't speak of it anymore? Which is a better option? And why is it that you have so many pedophiles in your churches? That's my main question, beside the flat earth. So
That's just hug it out. Are you serious?
read it. It was
This is why I stopped. I don't watch the news anymore. One,
Right.
because I know a third of it, a quarter of it. I'm gonna say a quarter of it. Only about a quarter of it is actually true news. The rest of it is a lot of propaganda and a lot of
much so
cherry picking like a motherfucker.
state-owned propaganda. Yep, I'll
But-
agree.
And most of it is horrific as well. And I don't need
Yep.
all that in my life. But so
When
I
it comes to relevant issues, I pay attention to a couple of relevant issues, and pedophilia in the church being so frequent and common is a very relevant issue, because
It
it's
is.
skated around like the fucking ballet on ice.
And that is truly horrific that they would try to cover up these pedophiles and allow
They're a
them to,
mandatory reporter, and they did not report.
that's just crazy. That's just crazy.
The
They
answer was to hug it out
they should
and
be
not
placed.
speak it up. Yeah.
See, I don't normally agree with prison justice.
There's a couple of things.
But
There's a couple of
instances,
things.
There's a couple of crimes that I believe in prison justice. And this is where you send the pedos, the rapists, into the prison system and let them just walk around freely and make sure that it's the prison, and you got it. Because I love how this dude is a murderer, but he got a daughter. So he don't care that. He would enact some prison.
He's a murderer, and he has a daughter, and he has an actual conscience that's not based in Christian moralities.
It's a weird thing. I always find it interesting. You'll have these guys who are hardened criminals, but if they got kids and a pedophile come through there, they'll rough them up real nice, real nice. Rapists come through there, they rough them up. Even though their asses is half of them are, rump rangers in prison. But
hey, prison rules are prison rules, and
when I
prison rules.
Don't mind a little prison justice when it comes to pedophiles.
If there's
one, put them in prison.
If there's one place that I think we should amplify justice in this, because justice is much to the lack of understanding of Christians, justice is a punishment befitting of the crime. So me saying Jesus is a loser is not a crime that should determine a life of hell. I can't even go there. This man raping and molesting a little child, that is a crime befitting of an eternity in hell and a lot more here on earth.
Yeah, let's get some earthly punishment first.
Yes. And make sure I don't want to see wood chipper first. I want to see months and years. If they did it for 5 years, then it should be 5 years. Eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right, Christians?
Think about what Sean is saying. Wood chipper feet first.
Yes. That's after the punishment. That's completely.
I misread it. No, Sean,
yes, wood chipper.
Just wood chip just his feet. Don't send them all the way through. Just the feet. Cut the feet off.
Torso. Up to the torso, so he can't hurt anybody else.
No, see, if you go up to the torso, that's too much trauma, too much blood loss. They may still die too soon. If you just
we've got enough medical technology. There's plenty of people that live without their balls and ass.
I know, but they still have their life expectancy becomes shorter. I need them to live a long time.
As an amputee myself, I have all my legs and my arms and stuff. I lost the tip of my finger. It doesn't really do much. It makes me cold, and not having they can still, I don't know. I would say
we can chop them a piece at a time, over time.
Death by 1,000 swords.
And then there's a bunch of other things you can do in between. You know what I'm saying?
See, I like the idea of keeping them around for as long as possible. I think the Romans had it really, really down quite well with their crucifixion. I mean, according to the reports, he was unrecognizable as a man, and that's a good place for most Christian pedophiles and other pedophiles to be.
I get it. I can understand, but I'm a little different. I'm like, put some honey in your eye, have your eyes wide open, and then put some ants. Let some ants crawl up in there.
I like that too.
Or put some honey on your dick, and then put a jar of ants on top of it. Let them go at it for a while. You know what I'm saying? Just all kind of like good little punishment to just agonize. But it's not death, but just agony. And then, just all kind of little stuff. Let that army ant that get up under your skin and burrows and be eaten for a little while, and then you pull them out. And then just let that pain and anguish sit in there, throw you into a wasp nest and get stung by like 30 wasps, and then just let you agonize for the next 2 weeks. See,
I'm all about all of these things. Compounded, but just enough to keep it where they're still alive. Like, keep that pain tolerance. Like, if their tolerance is a 10, keep it at a 9.875.
Yeah. Cattle prod them a couple of times, and then let them walk around them in pain for a little while. And then when as soon as they get comfortable, hit them again.
Yes. Comfortability is, well... But anyways, I was thinking about a nice trip to go see my personal Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, there, and just see what it's like. See how forgiving of a place it may really be. I'm just saying.
Anyway, let's get back to this. I got to get back to the subject, man. So now I'm thinking,
have fun with your flat earth, non-Christians, cowards, and otherwise bigots and or hypocrites. Much love, much love.
I don't think I'm gonna get the conversation that I want, but it's all right. I'm gonna try. Appreciate you.
No, but at least you got honesty from somebody that was pretending to be Christian. You see that? Yeah. Honesty from pretending.
They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna come and be honest and say that they don't accept science, that they believe that the Bible says it is what it is. The average Christian is going to say that the sun is millions of miles away. They're going to say that all these different things to try to make it jive together, but they're not going to be honest.
And they're going to hell for it. Let them burn.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Much love, sir. Much love.
Much love to you. And that's what I was looking for today. I was looking for, but do I ever get what I want when I know that it's angled towards Christians having to have intellectual, honest conversations? No. You sitting all the bees. But man said, can you teach me how to raise red ants? No, YouTube can though. YouTube will teach you a lot. YouTube, you can learn how to raise ants. My grandmother, I wanted to raise ants, but my grandmother wouldn't let me. She was like, you ain't gonna have them bugs in my house, and then they break, and then all of a sudden got ants all over the house. I wanted to raise ants as a child, but my grandmother wouldn't let me do it. She wouldn't let me do it. I'm pretty sure most parents probably would be like, hell no. But anyway. Yeah, I just don't think I'm gonna get that conversation there. I don't think a Christian is gonna come on here or a Bible believer is going to admit that their earth does not. I mean, we got some people. I mean, Out of Babylon was saying that the earth has a dome on it. He thinks that it has a dome. What up, Obi-Wan? May the force be with you.
What's going on, Lorenz? What's happening, brother?
Nothing much, man.
Nothing much.
Literally, nothing much.
Yeah, I just tapped in late, man. So I missed the beginning of the show, so I didn't really catch really the basis, but I kind of have an idea, like as far as uh where it would go as far as the Earth flat with with the Bible and Christianity, but I also shoot, if a Christian also should believe that the earth is square because the Bible uses the references of corners, the
Yeah,
earth having corners as
it does.
well.
In Job, it says it got four. Job and Isaiah says that it has four corners.
Yeah.
Revelations
So
also say the four corners of the earth.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that whole idea that even when you used to read that and hear it, even as a when I wasn't under that faith, that never sounded correct. It never even sounded like logical, but we just went on with it. I just went on with it as figurative speaking or figurative writing, but
Right.
the word should not be figurative. The word of God should be direct and straightforward as to what it is. The Bible doesn't even give us any inkling of a thought that the earth is a sphere.
There's can't say that part. There's a couple of times that it actually does
It does?
give you an idea that the world is a sphere.
How?
I had it up on another screen. Let me bring it up.
Oh.
Because instead of keeping my notes all down in front of me, I just was like, you know what? I just put it down on the screen. There's a couple of verses. So like Isaiah 40 and 22 says that he sitteth upon the circle or sphere. The word that's used there is kung, and I'm probably saying it wrong because I don't speak Hebrew, but that word kahug can mean a circle. It's translated oftentimes as a circle, but it could also mean a sphere or a vault, right? So like when they say the vault of heaven, or this, but oftentimes it's translated as circle. But in Isaiah 40:22, it says that he sitteth upon the circle or sphere of the earth. And like I said, it can be translated as sphere, it can be translated as circle. Now, even if it's a circle can be flat.
Okay.
Now, Job 26 says that he stretches out the north over empty space and hangs the earth on nothing. Now, although this is often taken as the earth being a sphere and sitting in space, what it really means, what I think that it means, is that in the north, in the northern sky, is where you see the least amount of stars. It almost appears to be no stars in the northern part of the sky at night. So I think that Job meant, the writers of Job was thinking that since there is nothing there, then that's where the earth hangs. That's the point where the earth is, I don't know, hung up on a wall in my thought process. I don't think it necessarily means that it's just hanging out in space, right?
Okay.
But it could because it says empty space. It hangs and hangs the earth on nothingness. and that could be the idea of space. But I just, like I said, I just think that it's because there are no stars. Aren't many stars, if any, in the northern part of the sky. Then in Job, that same verse, that same chapter in 10, it says that the circular horizon on the face of the waters for the boundary between light and darkness, right? And so some take that as meaning that it is spherical, that the Bible is talking about a spherical earth or curvature on the earth. Well, it's talking about curvature. So there are a couple of verses, but there's more verses that put it in the flat earth or flat-ish earth with a dome over it, with pillars and shit like that.
Yeah, okay. I didn't really know about those verses that you referenced right there. Those are New Testament?
No, it's all Old Testament.
Old Testament? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, Revelations make you think that the earth is flat. And in the New Testament, when Jesus is talking during his little time in the wilderness, he says that the devil took him up to the highest mountain and showed him all the four corners of the earth and showed him all the nations of the earth. Well, the earth has to be flat in order for you to see all the nations of the earth.
Yeah.
So
you ain't gonna be able to see the other side. You're not gonna be able to see the bottom.
Yeah, you can't see America. You can't see first century Mesoamerica. You can't see the Aztecs and the Mayans unless it's flat. And then you better have some hella sight. God damn, you gotta have some hella sight. And it's gotta be a tall ass man. You go to the top of Mount Everest and you ain't seeing all of nothing.
And I don't know if you talked about it maybe already in your show, but the Bible doesn't really it doesn't talk about the continents that they didn't really know about. It doesn't talk about the Americas, Antarctica, Australia. You know what I mean?
They know it because they didn't know it existed. You know,
that's my point. Like
exactly.
it's so it's just the Bible. I mean, and it's those are the time that they were living in. The world, they just hadn't evolved to where they had traveled and knew about these places. So they're only writing about. They're calling the world that region of what they knew about. They're not really. They don't know about these other continents and stuff like that. So, I mean, and I think all Christians, like, if they're being honest, they know that. You're if you're navigating in this world, this society right now, you're not there's not four corners. So that the world, you can travel, and you have a sphere type curvature of the world and stuff like that, even though you still practicing the faith and you're still reading these scriptures, these old scriptures. You're kind of saying, okay, it's written like this, and Christians always like to say, like, let's say you and I point this out. A lot of Christians like to say, well, that's not what they meant. They really meant this.
True. They will do that. And the fact that every if you look at any religion of ancient times, every religion only can speak to the level of knowledge that they have. And so since they don't have knowledge of what's going on in other places of the world, they leave that information out. And I even question whether or not they knew of the pyramids, because you're going to write a story about being in Egypt for 400 years, and yet you never mention the Sphinx or the pyramids. That makes no sense. You're writing this story based on you only living in the Levant and you only knowing what is in the Levant. And the only thing you know about Egyptians is the fact that they were controlling you in the Levant. So you can't, and you heard of the Nile, you've heard of the Red Sea and the Sea of Reeds, and Goshen, but you've never heard of anything below that. So you don't write about it.
You made a good point right there.
And then everybody, Vic over here, Vic on TikTok just made a good point. When anytime somebody in every kingdom, every empire claims that they are the king of the world. The Roman Empire said that they were the rulers of the world. The Greek Empire, they were the rulers of the world. The Persians, the Babylonians, everybody, they were the rulers of the world because they were the ruler of their known world. They had no idea that there were kings in India, kings in Asia and the Americas. They had kings all over the place. And none of them bastards knew each other. But they swore up and down they were the king of the earth. It was awesome. Everywhere the light touches. Except for that shadowy place. Every other place that the light touches is our kingdom. So in Mufasa's mind, if he went up onto a higher mountain, then he would say that he is the king of that land, whatever, because the light touches more land that he sees. But if he walked his happy ass over there, he will find out. He gonna fuck around and find out. But there's another lion that's king over there.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just like the Romans, they pushed so far towards India, and then they realized we ain't the king over here. Somebody else is the king.
Yep.
Every king one day finds out you are not the king of the world.
Yeah, it's no such thing as king of the world. That used to throw me off when I was, when I was younger reading that thing. I was like, king of the world. I mean, shoot, if there was no, you don't even know everybody who's on the world. The people in the Americas, they don't acknowledge you as no king.
Yeah, no, they don't. They certainly do not. Hell, that would be like people in Australia recognizing the president of America as the president of the world. That shit won't work. Doesn't work at all. People don't even recognize the power of the UN Consulate General. that motherfucker is truly the closest thing to the king of the world that you could possibly have, yet has no power, doesn't have any real power. If you really think about it, consulate generals don't have any real power. Because he cannot dictate what actually happens in other places of the world.
True.
He has to gather the other kings in order for that to happen. And if they disagree, then it's like they tell the consulate general, fuck you, we're going to do what we want to do.
And you also notice too how, or maybe you might know better than me, but the Bible doesn't really tell you. Well, it has it kind of explains a relationship with the sun and the moon and earth, but the way that it explains it is obviously since we've evolved to know that that's not real. Like it doesn't the Bible say like the moon is also like a source of light?
Yeah.
But that's not really how it works. It's just reflecting light of the sun.
Yeah, we know that, but 2,000 years ago, they didn't know that. 3,000 years ago, they didn't know that. They thought the moon produced. Almost every culture thought the moon produced its own light. They didn't understand that the moon did not, because for every other heavenly body that they saw, it did produce its own light. So until science figured that out, which is some cultures figured it out sooner than others. Of course, what am I saying? The credit goes to Western history, but other cultures before Europeans figured out that the moon was a reflection of light just by just by observation. The Aztecs, the Mayans, they figured that shit out long before the Europeans did, because they were just, they have generations of watching the stars and watching how, moon cycles and so on and so forth, and realize that it is a reflection from the sun, and that the moon was going around the earth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so not moving within some damn dome. But of course, their knowledge then gets either squashed by the conqueror or it gets taken by the conqueror and credit given to the conqueror.
Mm. I can dig that. I can see that. Like, yeah, they Conqueror just saying, oh, they obtain this information, this knowledge from these people, and then just take it as their own, as if, oh, they presented it themselves.
Hold on. I know we're talking about something, but this is one of the dumbest damn things that I've always seen that flat earthers like to do. They like to take a regular ball on Earth or
Mm-hmm.
globe, and they like to spin it and pour water on it, and then watch all the water just spill off of it, as
Yeah.
if that is a true scientific understanding of the Earth. Unless you can generate an atmosphere around a globe, or a ball, then you cannot create a true representation of a spinning Earth, right? Uh, and they hate the example that I like the most of their lack of understanding would be a car and a fly in your car. You're driving down these Texas highways at 90 miles per hour. A fly is in your car.
Mm-hmm.
The fly is flying around your car at its own speeds that it flies in your car. But at the same time, the fly is also in the car moving at 90 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's contained within the atmosphere of the car, because the car has a sealed environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the fly can fly around in your car. Just
Mm-hmm.
like humans can walk around on Earth because we're sealed in the containment of an atmosphere of a planet that is spinning at 1,000 is the equatorial, maybe the equatorial spin rate, but the higher or lower you go, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, it's a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself demonstrates that it's a sphere because the speed changes as you go higher or lower, latitude wise. But if you open the damn window and the fly goes out the window, that
Mm-hmm.
motherfucker gets whiffed and thrown away,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So if you were to snatch the atmosphere off of the planet and the rotation is still happening, yes, then your ass gonna feel that speed. Now, of course, we all gonna die within seconds, but you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
feel that speed. So
Mm-hmm.
their whole concept of pouring water on a ball inside the earth and the water splashes off the ball is the most non-scientific bullshit that I see from flat earthers when they do that little experiment. Try in order to prove their little flat earth theory.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to disprove the rotation of the earth. And then you got to understand the size. I don't think humans really understand how big the earth is, right? And see the comeback there, Obi. You feel the motion in the car, and we do not hover like flies. No, you don't. If you've ever been in a car long enough, now if you accelerate, you feel the acceleration. If you decelerate, you feel the deceleration. But when you just cruising at 90 miles per hour, you do not feel the motion of the damn car unless you swerving or accelerating and constantly accelerating and decelerating. But when you get on, like when me and my brother was riding, when we was going up the Wichita, and this is even on a motorcycle, and
Mm-hmm.
we were rolling at 110.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel the 110. This is why I used to get so many traffic tickets, because I be rolling. And the cops were like, you was going in 80 miles per hour in a 60 miles per hour zone. I was like, really? Didn't feel like I was going 80, because you don't feel the 80 miles per hour. So that's like a dumbass comment. That comment's dumb.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dumbass.
that's I've heard there's this one guy, I forgot his name, Jamar or something, and he's like a big like flat earth guy. and he used that example about the spinning ball with the water. But it wasn't until I've heard you explain what you said before, and
Uh,
and that's when it makes sense. Because even with when you're in an airplane, I'm pretty sure the airplane is going like real
mm,
fast too.
perfect. Yes. Yes. You know, one, being in an airplane shows you that the earth is big as fuck, for one,
Hmm.
right? Because you're in an airplane and they're talking some, the pilot come on there. Yes, this is Pilot Renz, and we have now reached our cruising altitude, and we're going at a speed of about 500 miles per hour. And you look out the window and you like, we ain't going no damn 500 miles per hour.
Nope. You
Them
going
clouds and everything.
You going 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, because if you'll think about it from driving in a car. If you was in
Hmm.
a car going 500 miles per hour on land, and the way the trees and shit will be wisping by,
Hmm.
you'd be like, "Oh shit, yeah, we moving."
Hmm.
But on an airplane, 500 miles per hour, because you're so far above the land,
Hmm.
it don't feel like you don't feel 500 miles per hour. You feel like you moving at like 2-3 miles per hour. The shit's
Hmm.
moving by so slow, right?
Hmm.
Like this, the perceptions that you have, uh, your perception is very different depending upon the situation that you're at,
Hmm.
So yeah, the only time you're gonna feel 500 miles, even if you was in a jet, even if you jet, I've talked to jet pilots, right? And I'm like,
Hmm.
on TV, they make y'all be flying by, you go to the air show and them motherfuckers be like, they be going.
Yeah.
But when y'all are way up, and and well, let me put it in the right way. The pilots have told me that the only time they can truly feel the speed that they're flying at is when they are flying on low levels, so that they can actually be whizzing by the land.
Hmm.
But when they way up there, 12, 10 to 14,000 feet, it don't feel like they're moving at no damn 500 and 800 miles per hour. It feel like they're going 2 miles per hour.
Hmm.
But that just shows you how big the damn earth is, that when you get to those higher elevations,
Hmm.
you don't feel like you're moving that fast, because it's so massive.
Hmm.
It is so massive.
Yep. Yeah. When you explain that car, because me, when I heard the guy say that with the spinning ball thing, I was like, oh, well, I mean, I kind of see what he's saying, but I didn't think about the whole being in a environment, and then once you're outside of it, then boom, you feel the real thing. Because yeah, once you're it's kind of like anything. Once you're in it for a certain, like, us as humans, or just beings on the planet, our bodies, we've already adjusted and to how the earth is rotating. So it's not, unless something abrupt happened, and like what you said, if something abrupt happens, then we'll probably just fall off, right? Well,
Yeah.
that's how it would work, right?
Yeah, well, we wouldn't fall off. Okay, something abrupt.
Hmm.
Something abrupt. Joshua claims that the sun stopped moving for 12 hours, right?
Hmm.
Now, if the earth is flat, then that's possible. Because the sun is moving around the flat plane of the earth, right? In the sky.
Hmm.
So the earth
Hmm.
is not moving.
Hmm.
So the sun can stand still. Now, in reality, if the sun stood still in the sky in one part of the planet for 12 hours, then that means that the earth rotation just suddenly stopped.
Hmm.
And if the earth rotation suddenly stopped, then yeah, the atmosphere and the wind is not going to stop. The plate tectonic system, which is, even though it's like estimated to be 25 miles deep, that shit is still movable. That shit's going to shift like a big dog. So you
Hmm.
would have volcanic eruptions, landslides, tsunamis. It ain't even hurricane. We don't even have a hurricane level that the winds would be at. You would be, everything is destroyed if the earth stops spinning all of a sudden. So yeah, no, that's. And real quick question.
Yes.
When you said Jamar, you're not, please don't tell me you're talking about Jamar Milton.
No.
Okay.
It's a guy, he was a rapper back in the day. He was a part of Brand Nubian.
Lord Jamar. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes,
Lord Jamar.
I love Brand Nubians, but when he said that, I was like, just stick to rapping and wine. Stick to your rapping and stick to your wine connoisseur that you're doing now. Yeah, I do. I recall seeing Jamar talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stick to wine. Jamar, Lord Jamar, if you're listening, stick to wine and get and have a Brand Nubians reunion tour, because I would go to that. I would go to that.
I would like to see y'all two have a conversation about that. I think you would be able to, like, put them in the right perspective.
Bro, do you know how much I had to convince myself to have this conversation today? I do not like.
You get a headache.
I avoid this conversation like the plague. This is probably the first time in like 4 years I've talked about this bullshit. Yes, no. I just want to understand how a Christian don't believe that the earth is flat. That's all. That's all I really want to know.
Yeah, I mean that it's a lot. It's a lot of, like, yeah, like but honestly, I think a Christian in this type of conversation, you're not going to be able to get an honest conversation, because they're the way that they're that we're going through and operating in this world is off of a round sphere earth. They don't really believe that the earth is flat for real. I don't think so. I mean, did anybody come up here on your show today, a Christian, actually defending that?
Mm-mm.
See?
No, not really. I mean, there's been a couple of comments here or there, but not really. There's the Christians, they're not bold enough to come on here and actually try to defend that they believe that the earth is flat because the Bible says so.
Yeah, and that always goes back to, if you already have that common knowledge that, it's okay if you just saying that, as far as for, I guess, cultural tradition, like, every culture kind of has their what do you call it, like traditional stories, like oral traditions and stuff like that. That's fine, because it's like what you said earlier. Those things are just based off of what those ancient people knew, the level of knowledge that they had. But the thing is, you have a higher level of knowledge now in 2025, so you shouldn't be holding on to it like with your dear life, and like, oh, this is the word of God. I'm gonna defend this, blah blah blah. Like, it just sounds crazy sometimes, and then but people do it because once, like, when you bring up something like this and you find you show that hole in that whole theory about flat earth according to the Bible, how the Bible references the earth as pretty much like it's flat, then that hole right there, then it opens up that the whole thing is it's not true.
No, it's not. I think I understand what you're saying, but no. It's, and they wouldn't be able to hold it. Like, they wouldn't be able to hold a conversation, which is why they stay in the comments. Like, you got a guy on YouTube right now, Out of Babylon. He's making his little comments, but he would dare not come on the channel. He would definitely dare not to come and have an actual conversation, because he wouldn't be able to, But you can be a keyboard warrior, like a champ, and it's like little things here and there.
Yeah.
But most Christians are going to either they're going to try to ignore the situation, or they're going to try to say that, oh, it's just a metaphor or something like that. But these certain aspects of it cannot be metaphorical. They have to be taken literally. Like the whole dome shit in Genesis 1 has to be a literal represent. It has to be a literal thought. It can't be a metaphorical thought.
I throw all that stuff out the window. When people say, when they refer to the Bible references and say, "Oh no, that's a metaphor," then I just throw out all that out there. It's like, in my opinion, the any divine information or word or whatever, it
Mhm.
cannot be metaphorical.
No, right. It has.
Metaphors are what humans use. We made up metaphors for things. You know what I'm saying? That can't be something a metaphor, because a metaphor can be what's the word? A metaphor is can be subjective, because there is no the Bible doesn't give us a glossary or a key to say, oh, when it said this, it meant this. This is all things that we have interpreted. That's why there's so many different interpretations.
Exactly true. And this is why I always say, I when I read the Bible, and one of the biggest things that allowed me to deconstruct from it is the fact that I started reading it not from my perspective today, but to read it from the perspective of how those people would have thought about it and believed it at that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So when they talk about the design of the earth, those people at that time frame would not have taken the dome and all this other stuff as metaphors. They would have taken it as literal. So
Yes.
it is not for us to take it as a literal, because that's not how the writers meant it. They meant, I mean, for us to take it as a metaphor, because the writers of that time frame meant for it to be taken literally.
Mm-hmm.
But because we know more and know better, you have to then convert it into a metaphor for it to work. Otherwise, it doesn't work for the Christian.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
yeah, they have to do it that way.
And I hate when people say, "Oh, like when you point those kind of things out, and then they'll say, oh, you don't have an understanding of the text. You don't have an understanding of the text. Uh you need to read your Bible more. You don't have and they say you need to. So I'm like, okay, I'm smart, I'm intelligent. So who do I need to get the understanding from? Another a religious leader? They're a
Right.
human just like I am. Like we got brains. We so why do I have to get an understanding from someone else because it doesn't fit the narrative that you want me to be in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing. Anytime they ask me, don't lean into your own understanding. So I'm supposed to lean into the understanding of another man, because that's whose understanding you're leaning on.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll claim that man had God breathed that knowledge into that man. So you're not really leaning on the understanding of that man. You're leaning onto the breathed knowledge of God towards that man. But yet that man spoke in a time frame where this is what they accepted and believed, but yet you don't believe it in the way that they actually meant it back then. Because now you are believing that whoever has translated the doctrine into what you believe in today, that's God's breathe as well. So God's breath changes. Like one time it was spearmint, and then the next time it's strawberries. Like the fuck you talking? Like God be changing his breath. He had bad breath. He had halitosis when he was talking to them, and now he gonna brush his teeth. He done got him some non-fluoride toothpaste with a little mint in it. What the hell?
Oh yeah, too. Hey, you know how you brought up about the pyramids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is no reference to the pyramids in the scripture. So the pyramids, just to be correct now, the pyramids would have already been up, right, during the time of these writings.
Yeah. If if the story according to this Bible that Joshua came to Egypt and he was running shit in Egypt, they would have known about the pyramids, right? And then if the Israelites came into Egypt and then they went in and then they were sent up to Goshen, they would have known about the pyramids as well. So what they do say is that they built the city of Pithom, right? Because in the 1200s, they would have known about the city of Pithom being a place where grain storage was held, because Ramesses II had Pithom, and I forgot the other city, had those, Pi-Ramses and Pithom were built at that time frame. But then Solomon in 2 Kings, it gets messed up by them claiming that during Solomon's 4th or 4th reign, or some reign of Solomon, that was 400 and some odd years before the Exodus. So then that throws it back to the 1500s BCE. The pyramids still would have been built at that time frame. The pyramids was already there. Even though I don't agree with Khufu building the Great Pyramids of Giza, even if you did accept that the pyramids were around during the time, I will accept that the pyramids were around during the time frame of Khufu. But Khufu is well before either timeline that you give the Egyptians, because Khufu was around, I think, like 2500 BCE, somewhere around in there. So the pyramids were already there, but they do not mention them at all. Not once.
Because I've heard some Israelites claim that the ancient Jews or Israelites built, were, like, basically, like, because they say that they were in captivity slaves, that they actually built the pyramids. Now, I don't believe that at all or anything, but that's a claim that they've made. But the thing is, there's no reference to any of that stuff in the Bible.
Yeah, no, they don't. And pyramids was a common building style that you would think that. So pyramids were very common. So if they were building something, you would think they would have, and they mentioned how they constructed many things, but they never mentioned how they was built in the construction style of pyramids. Now, by the time you get to the stories of Moses being written, yes, although pyramids was a common building technique, it wasn't the main structure style that was being built at that time frame. Only the ziggurats, only the places of worship were being built in that architectural style. Everything else was built in squares and rectangles at that time. But a way of, now this is, let me give you a little theory just popped in my head. The temple that the tent of meetings, and then later on the temples that was built at the time frame. So the time frame of the writings are about the 700 BCE to 600 BCE is probably the first time these things are being written down. We know that at that time frame, the Israelites are trying to separate themselves from everybody else in the world, which could be the reason why the temple was built with more squares and rectangles instead of being built like ziggurats, so that their God wasn't being housed in the same type structures that the other gods were being housed. And so instead of building pyramids to simulate mountains, because most people put their gods on mountains back then, they took the rectangular and square structures and put it on top of their closest thing to a mountain, so that the god's dwelling place would be on top of a mountain. But that would be similar to the Hellenistic style of construction as well. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they were trying to do a lot of separating of themselves, like circumcision. Oh, we got to circumcise ourselves because the Philistines don't do it. Yeah, but other people still had circumcision before you motherfuckers. Like the Egyptians. Now, it was only something that was done by the priesthood and the royalties, the elites. but it was something. They just allowed for everybody to be a part of the thing that only a few people did within other societies. But they were always trying to separate themselves to show that they built different.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. I didn't know about the whole trying to separate themselves and stuff like that. It's just, and I just thought about it when you brought up that about pyramids and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
Mhm. So that might be the only rationale that you can come up with as to why they don't mention pyramids.
mm,
That's the only one. Because the only pyramid type structure that they do mention is the Tower of Babel. And they really don't give you the dimensions and the architecture of it. They just say it's a tower. But what we do know that back then, towers were built in a pyramid type structure. Any high building, more than 3 levels, was built in a pyramid style.
Okay. Didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have the Masonic techniques at that time frame to build these rectangular structures higher than about 4 feet, about 4 stories. You was only going to go about 3 stories. You weren't going to go above that because of anything, because they didn't build their structures back then with the interior strength. All the strength was exterior, right? So all the stress points were exterior. So if you're building higher than, you start going higher than 4 feet, and they didn't have the interior strength, then when they try to enclose it at the top would collapse. It's not the later construction techniques of building archways and having interior columns to be weight bearing that we started being able to build, kind of straight up. Yeah.
Got you like that. And the Bible doesn't even, because how the sun goes down, and well, we call it sundown, but it doesn't really, it just gives us a basic concept of, because I know Egyptians believed that, they said they had a flat earth theory too, because they said that the sun is like going across the sky, is not really saying that we're rotating.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it would have to be. The sun would have to be the sun was placed inside of the dome, and it goes around the earth, creating this, flashlight kind of situation. But and so it had to be really fucking close and small in order for that to happen. Otherwise, you would have daylight 24/7 around the planet. So it has to be inside at a low altitude and small in order to create this flashlight type of situation. But then it would also have to have this zigzag pattern in order to create seasons. And when we observe the sun, it doesn't do that at all.
Nope.
Yeah, the sun doesn't zigzag to the degree that will be. It zigzags a little bit, but not to the degree in order to create seasons on a flat plane. So yeah, it's not gonna happen.
That one is basically, it's been debunked, and no one is gonna come up with anything to counter that. You know what I'm saying? It's, and if, when people try to argue it, like sometimes jokingly, like I just to mess around with people, I'm like, oh yeah, you kind of have a point, because you can't you can't really see, when the sun goes down, what we call sundown. You can't really, somebody explained it to me before, but obviously we know that you can fly or sail across the entire world.
Somebody, what? Say it again.
No, because somebody, I forgot how they explained it. But they were just being like, I don't know if they were being like stupid on purpose, just trying to mess around. But they're like, Oh, when you I guess when you look at the horizon,
Mm-hmm.
if you look so far out with the sun, you don't really see the curve. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you can, but you can and you can't, depending upon what perspective you're looking at it. So if you're just out in the middle of the ocean, it just looks flat, right? And that's because the earth is so fucking big that you don't have enough visual sight to see the curvature. The way that you can tell that there's a curvature when you're out at sea, and I've done this 50, 11 times, but I wasn't even thinking about flat earth stupid shit at the time frame. So you see a boat that's 10 miles away, because what you see is about, if you're at the same kind of level, same altitude, then you can only see about 10 miles. And what happens is, as the boat, let me see if this will work. As the boat goes down, well, let's say this is the boat. As the boat goes over the curvature, past your 10-mile visual and goes over the curvature, it starts to do this number right here. It sinks into the ocean. Right? Now, if you had a telescope and you can see 20 miles, then it doesn't. It gets smaller. But even when it hits that horizon of your visuals, it starts sinking again. Right? So no matter how far you can see, once you hit the curvature, the object will sink into the ocean. If the world was flat, then there would never be any point that it sinks into the ocean. It would just get smaller and smaller and smaller until you just can't see it anymore and disappear. Right? But unfortunately, it sinks into the ocean. The same way when you watch a sunset, right? You don't see a sunset and it just gets smaller and smaller till it gets tiny. You see the sunset shrink and dip below the horizon. Right? Like it's sinking under the earth. Which is why they dumbasses thought that the sun went under the earth. Because they can only base it on their perspective of things until they develop them, until the math was developed in order to understand that the earth is rotating and that the earth is a sphere, and that is also revolving around the sun. So that's the only way it works.
Yeah.
So there's no way that the earth is flat. Just with your own simple things, we can see that the earth is not a flat surface. Right? So just, I mean, you ain't got to get all super scientific about it.
Nope.
You can use some basic ass science and demonstrate it.
That's funny. Do you have anybody? Well, yeah, you said nobody. You said nobody actually tried to argue the flat Earth. I think it's too hard to do it. I mean, logical. If you want to be silly and you just want to argue, like maybe, but you can't really logically in this age that we're in right now and say that. I think it's like it's silly. But if you're religious, you should, if you're a Christian, you should. That's what you're supposed to be able to stand on, though. But you don't really stand on that realistically.
Yeah, and they're just not going to come on here. There's a few of them in the comments, but it's you cannot really. I can't really have a conversation at the speed that I would need it to be a conversation if it's text versus me talking. Right? It's like they'll make a statement, I'll explain that statement, but now I gotta wait like a few minutes before they say something else. That creates dead air. So I don't even sometimes I pay attention to a comment here and there, but most of the time it's like,
Because
Like,
it's easy. It's easy to type. Oh, how come I don't feel like I'm moving? You know what I'm saying? But in a conversation, then you can get that. You can get the reason why, and then you're not going to be able to have anything to say back.
no, you're not. And then I gotta wait for you, and that's dead air, and dead air doesn't work. But I mean, That's why I gave the example of the fly in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Or
That's perfect.
we even talked about being on an airplane. You don't feel the motion because you don't feel that movement because you know, what is it? I think it's inertia. Yeah. Your inertia is dampened. So because you're moving with the plane inside of a closed environment. And the earth, and when you take that and expand it out to the entire earth with the atmosphere is the closed environment of the plane or the car, and you are inside of that. So you're not going to feel the rotation of the earth. And the earth is so fucking big. Like, even though compared to other planets, the earth is small, but we are perfectly sized for the current environment of the earth. So we are not going to feel that motion, that rotation. It's not going to happen. But this is why when you see people who are on the SSI, right? Well, what is it? It's not the International Space Station. So the ISS, I said it wrong. I said SSI, ISS. They are far enough away from the Earth that the Earth moves faster for them. They can see more of the rotation of the Earth. And, you know, unlike an airplane, in a matter of hours, they're like, oh, there's the Great Wall of China. And then some hours later, now they're over fucking Afghanistan or something. Then a few hours later, they're over the Atlantic. Then a few hours later, they're, you know, so their time of the rotation of the Earth, it appears different to them when they're going opposite the direction or they're at a standstill. They are able to see more. Oh, I'm finna kick you off because Out of Babylon gonna come on here.
Oh, so somebody about to come up to defend it. All right. I'm gonna tune in. I'll be listening.
Bye.
All right, bro.
Out of Babylon. Now we can have a conversation. Out of Babylon.
Oh, I'm on?
Oh, yeah.
Nah, I just wanted to come on because you had mentioned and said that I was scared, and I'm not scared to be wrong at all. Remember, I came from where y'all came from. I was taught the same thing you was taught, that the world was round, we're spinning, we went to the moon, we did all these wonderful things. So I was the first to admit that I was wrong, and I'm not scared to admit that I'm wrong again. So I don't want to get into the whole technical conversations of science or this, that, and the third. Just post the pic.
Post a pic.
Shut me up. Of the Earth, of anything. Post a pic of a satellite in space. Post a pic. One real pic will shut me up. Until then, I will keep everything simple. I do not feel like I'm moving, so I don't want to argue against my senses. I'm not moving 1,000 miles an hour. I've been in the car. I've felt bumps. I've felt anything that will move this car. The wind, the wheels, I felt it all. So you mean to tell me we're moving through space at 3 different motions at the same time, and we're not hitting a rock? There's no turbulence like a plane when it's in the air. None of these things happen, and we're moving at astronomical speeds. We're going through space at over 400,000 miles an hour, and we haven't hit a pebble?
Yeah, we do. We hit them all the time. But they're not large enough.
Have you felt it?
Oh my gosh. They're not large enough in order to
I don't know. The movies tell me if a pebble hit this world.
Okay. Wait. Babylon. Let me tell you what we don't do.
I'm listening.
You don't get to just keep interrupting me and you keep talking. All right. So what I was saying is that we have encountered many rocks that we hit. It's called meteorites. Now, have we in our known time frame hit one so big that it creates a disturbance on Earth at the point that it breaks into our atmosphere? No. Now, we've experienced when it gets close enough to the land and it has an air burst and it fucks up a general area. We've experienced those, but a small pebble hitting you while you're in motion is about the same effect of when I'm riding my motorcycle and I get hit with a bug on the side of my face. It doesn't create a full disturbance of my body. It doesn't stop my motion or anything like that. It's not impactful enough. But if a big enough rock were to hit me while I'm riding on my bike, then yes, that will fuck up the whole situation. Right?
So you're saying,
if you get a big enough
you're
rock,
saying that because I'm
get
saying
like,
regardless of the size of the rock, what speed is it hitting the earth at?
what speed is it hitting everything?
I'm not talking about the spinning speed. I'm talking about the speed that we're going through space at 400,000 miles an hour. So if a rock has to hit the earth, it has to be traveling or in a direct opposition of this 400,000 miles an hour in order to hit the rock of the earth. So that means that rock, no matter how big it is, got to be traveling well over 100,000. I'm not even trying to do the science. That's just my little simple mind.
So, yeah, they are. But here's the thing that you're
So
missing out.
You're going to feel that.
Oh my God.
You're going to feel that.
No, you're not. It depends, because the size does matter. You see, if there's a rock that's the size of a car, and then it comes at the earth, because of the friction that is created when it hits our atmosphere, like 99% of it is going to get burned up in the friction when it hits our atmosphere, and then it's not going to create any major issues. Now, if the rock was the size of Texas and it hits our atmosphere, oh, you're going to feel it when it hit, if you survive, because you might not survive when it hits their planet. So when we look at the meteorite that hit around the Yucatan Peninsula, yes, that created one of the last extinction events from any type of spaceborne object. And the result is the big ass crater that's underwater at the Yucatan Peninsula. So we have seen that. Yeah.
How come we don't go to the moon today?
There ain't no money in it.
No money in it. There's always money in it.
No, it's not. Have you ever?
So you mean to tell me?
Have you ever did some
research
on that whole era?
You mean to tell that before because I don't do much research on eras because I don't believe in the past like you believe in the past. You say the Bible is fake, and I've quoted many times, and then nobody's responded to me that according to their numbers, at around 600 and something, we was almost at a population of 0. So how can you tell me about 1st century, 2nd century BC when we was at a population of 0 according to their numbers?
How you get around 600 CE or BCE? Either way,
after Christ, whatever 600 in this timeline.
What makes you think we was near a population of 0 at 600? There were.
I'm going off of the population numbers they posted.
Who has posted? Who has posted?
Look it up. I can't. I tell you what. When I find the information again, I'll link it to you on the next thing. But they say we grow at a rate of 66.7% every 10, 20 years. I can't remember what it is now. And if you go down for that number, you'll get at 0 at 600 or something. From the numbers that they post, as far as all the numbers that they say that we are in the censuses and stuff that they've taken in history. This is what they come up with, not me.
Sir, I just looked it up. It said the world population in 600 AD was estimated to be around 200 million people. Estimates vary slightly, with some sources ranging from 200 million to 206 million for people that year. So where do you get near 0?
Like I say, I'll give you the information. Now, again, according to all you got to do is, that's what that site says. But like I told you, if you backtrack 60, they say we grow at a rate of 66.some% every 10 or 20 years. All you got to do is reverse engineer them numbers.
So what I just looked at is
from where we at today.
No, because there are a lot of things. I did a video actually about 2 days ago concerning population growth on the world. And you cannot just give it a flat growth rate at that number, because there have been some major things that has happened throughout history. And there are certain things that increase population growth and decrease population growth. So
I just believe everything is a lie.
well, if you believe
The
everything,
Bible,
then you should
everything
believe
that we've been taught.
Hold on. Then the information that you've been taught is a lie too.
I'm trying to figure it all out. The only thing I got grounded is that God will save all. If whoever made me made you. Whoever made you made the other stranger. So
No.
wherever I come from, you come from. So that is
So-
my only ground in this earth.
So basically, you're saying that no matter what information is provided to you, if it doesn't agree with whatever your narrative is right now, you're going to believe that it's a lie.
No, I already told you that I've been wrong on multiple occasions in my walk and trying to find out what's going on.
So
I'm just not afraid to admit it.
So what I just used about population growth is not a particular site, but it is an AI that gathers information from scholarly information from around the world that you can find that comes up through the internet, and then it condenses it into one general synopsis. So the general synopsis of the world population was 200 million roughly in 600 CE. So
And
how is that?
I'm not talking just 600, but I mean around that midway point, because something happened in history by which we don't know nothing about. There was something that they reset the whole population.
Okay, something is not credible. What is you said 600? We was near zero. I'm taking you for what you said.
Yeah,
we were
so at 600 they might have said 200 million, but around then they said we at zero. If you track the numbers, we at 9, go backwards, we go to zero at 600 and something.
Do you realize that we have had multiple population explosions because of the Industrial Revolution created a situation that from 800 CE to 1900 CE, the world population grew by 600 million because of the advancements in science and the advancements in being able to provide more food around the world. So there was a population growth at that time frame. From 1946 to 1964, we had a population explosion of 76 million people in that short time frame, because post-World War II, we had better medicines and better food quality. And after most wars, people go and do a lot of fucking. So
I understand all of these things.
So what I'm saying is that your growth rate, that little growth rate, is kind of an average that they take based on these population booms and then decreases. So the Black Plague killed about 50 to 70% of the European population, right? But that only affects Europe. That didn't affect other parts of the planet. But then Manifest Destiny, that destroyed a huge number of population in the Americas. So you have these things that happen.
But what if all these things is a lie?
Okay, but they're not.
Now let's talk about the technology. You talk about the Industrial Revolution, right?
Let's not jump. Are you telling me that the Black Plague was a lie? That the growth of the Industrial Revolution and the growth of the baby boomers was a lie?
I'm saying all of those are half truths at best, which are lies.
How is it a half true?
Because we don't know our real history, and we think we do.
So you have no evidence to say that it's a half
the evidence around you is, one, the buildings that we cannot make today that are all around the world.
How is that
stone buildings? You see them, these beautiful stone buildings that we do not make today. We just throw up construction things around them and act like we're fixing them, but we can't make these things today because the technology is not given to our culture today.
Do you realize that technologies are developed and technologies are lost? So one of the reasons why we don't make stone buildings the same way today as they used to make them is because somewhere along the line, the process of making Roman concrete, which Roman concrete is better than the concrete we have today. But for hundreds of years, that technology was lost. So buildings, they had to figure out a different way to construct buildings. But in recently here over the last like 7-8 years, they've kind of figured out how Roman concrete was made. So with that happening, you may possibly see Roman concrete being reutilized today, which would then create stone buildings that are able to last for centuries, as we see some of the Roman buildings that do and still are lasting. So
Some of these buildings were made before the power tool.
Okay, so there, but hold on, don't jump. This is one of those things that irritates me about having these conversations. So I just demonstrated that we lost the technology of Roman concrete, but now we may have regained it. So if we may have regained it, does that mean that what does that mean?
What I'm saying is, I think it'd be foolish for us to believe that in the last 100 or 200 years that we came up suddenly with all these technologies. Wouldn't it be more plausible to think that if we were around for thousands, if not millions of years, that these technologies were simply handed to us?
No, because as I just explained with Roman concrete was something that was developed and then it was utilized to build these structures. And we can see the development of Roman concrete and how it happened. Now that we know the mixture that they utilize to create Roman concrete, which is basically self-healing concrete, we can now start utilizing that. Then the only question would be is what's the money in it? How does the money flow?
I mean, you don't see a billionaire putting up something just to stunt in his lifetime, just because, if he can do it. A billionaire, today's billionaire, this world's version of a billionaire today wouldn't do it just to stunt.
So let me break it down to you how a billionaire may think about it. So let's say let's say I own the San Antonio Spurs. They now want to build a new stadium. Okay. Now, if I utilize Roman concrete to build that stadium, the problem that I may have, and let's say I want to own this team for the next 40 years. Well, what I do know is that in order to continuously make more and more money, I cannot allow for the same structure to be utilized for 40 years. I need reasons to tear that motherfucker down in about 15 to 20 years and have the city build me another one so that I can redo it and make it up to date so that I can make more money. So I probably wouldn't use Roman concrete techniques in order to build my structure.
So it's about profit then.
Yeah, just like I was saying about going to the moon. There's no money in it. And this is why you have to understand what was going on politically in an era in order to understand why things were done and why things are not done now. I don't know how old you are, but the whole Soviet scare was a huge freaking thing in the 50s and the 60s. So when they put Sputnik up, it wasn't about, oh, we need to go here just for exploration. This was about the political fear of the Soviet Union. Once that was gone, then you have to say, then there was no money in going to the moon because there ain't shit there that we found that was worth mining to bring back to Earth to make money off of it. It's just an expenditure at this point. So there's no money in it.
Well, I come to the understanding that the United States and America work together. They're not enemies.
America kind of what?
They work together. It's like the NBA or football, just like you said, in the NFL. You got Chicago versus Indianapolis. On TV, they're opponents. They go to war. They play a football game, one win, one lose. But the truth is they all work for the NFL.
Okay, but the United States and the Soviet Union were not on team, bro. They were enemies.
They on the same team. Then why they all sign it?
You really believe that? They're not on the same team. Not even slightly. If the closest that you could,
because see that treaty there.
What treaty?
Go ahead.
What treaty?
The Antarctic Treaty.
Okay, see, you flipping and
look
flopping.
It up.
You're flipping and flopping.
I'm not flipping it. I'm just showing you how they all work together. For some reason, all countries have a treaty there.
That's Antarctica. But when we were talking about the space race, there's no treaty. When we talk about anything else with the United States and the Soviet Union, there was no treaties. These were
that's all television.
No, these were sworn enemies.
That's
Now,
television. They all work together. That's why they came out with a space race.
no,
That's why I just asked for one pick instead of getting into all this. One real pick.
we have pictures of ISS.
That is a computer generated image at best.
That's why I didn't even
Not a
waste the
real
time.
pick.
That's why I didn't even waste the time to go and find an image, because I knew that the first thing you're gonna say is it's computer generated. But yet
It is. I'm just
so what you telling me is that when you can if I don't, do you have a telescope?
no, I do not.
You should get you in order to prove or disprove your
But I
point,
do want to buy one though. I do want to buy some of these things so I can look for myself though.
buy a telescope, because when I had a telescope, I did this. You can go to, at that time frame, I don't know if it's still there, but you can go to NASA's website. They'll tell you where to look in the sky to be able to see where to look in the sky based on where you're located, and then you'll be able to see ISS. You'll be able to see ISS. That's all
I
you gotta do.
understand that.
Now,
Do you remember?
Now I posted a video. My wife posted a video as well. About a year or so, a year and a half ago, when the Satlink satellites was going by, when they was launched it, and then it was, they got a new technique of launching satellites. Instead of just straight up and then releasing it, they put it in this rotational orbit that it climbs and climbs and climbs till it gets to its point. Starlink. Sorry, thank you, Murdoch. But we posted a video of Starlink. So we got our own video of Starlink going through its rotations to then settle itself in orbit around the planet. Not somebody else's picture, our own pictures. Well, video of Starlink. And many people have posted Starlink videos. If you go and look at,
And this is the ISS station you're talking about, right?
Starlink is Elon Musk's satellite system.
Oh my goodness!
But see, this is that part where you already got a narrative, and you're going to facilitate that narrative.
It's not, again. Remember, I would love being wrong. I could care less. But what I was trying to rebuttal is, do you remember when they did a Tupac concert using a hologram? I think it was called Project Bluebeam, or if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on the name.
Project Bluebeam has nothing to do with Tupac.
That's why I said don't quote me on the hologram name. But my point is, these things are given to show us for an example, because what you looking at, how do you know it's real? And I understand where you're coming from. That's why I say this conversation is kind of irrelevant, because I came from where you came from, but I don't want to argue against my common sense. I can't. I can't even.
You're not arguing against common sense. You're arguing the void of common sense, because you already have a narrative in your mind, and it doesn't matter what is demonstrated to you. You are still going to go with your confirmation bias. So I am telling you, please get a telescope, and then find out how to know when ISS is passing over wherever you are located, and then use your telescope to see the damn thing, because obviously that's the only way you're going to accept it.
I mean, I can look at it, but again, I may believe it's a hologram, because I believe it's technologies out here that we do not understand.
Then what's the point? Why waste the money? What's the point?
The point is us to control us.
That's
why I told you money is the issue.
You're missing my whole statement. Even if you see that you can find the ISS, but then you're going to say, "Oh, that's a hologram." What's the point of you even seeing the ISS? Is what I'm saying. There's no point in you even verifying it if you're then going to make a confirmation bias statement right after.
I mean, take me to the ISS then.
If you got $2 million, I think is the going rate right now.
So why it's so priced out of my range? That's the whole point.
Do you know how much it costs to lift to send a rocket up?
I don't know, but I believe it's make believe.
You think it costs $5? Do you
I
understand?
believe it's make believe.
Do you understand economics?
I do, and I believe
I don't think
NASA
I
gets
don't think you
millions of
do.
dollars to give you pictures.
I don't think you do. When air flight first started, it was incredibly expensive, and the average American couldn't afford it. But then, as the supply grew, then as the supply and the demand grew. Well, as the supply grew, the demand grew. But because you get the supply to a level where it then becomes affordable for the average person, because instead of a plane only holding like 10 people on it, now the planes can hold almost, like 200 people. So now you can spread that cost through those 200 people to be able to take this flight. Otherwise, it's not feasible for the average person to do it. So unless you can send 1,000 people up on ISS, it's not going to be affordable.
Not ancient, but big jets today, them 737s, them big old jets, they use ancient technology. They don't use
Why are you skipping past what I just said?
Because if you look at it again in the comments,
why are you skipping past what I just said? Don't do that. If you're going to have a conversation,
hold on, you breaking up.
If you're going to have a conversation, don't jump when something is presented, and because you don't want to answer it, you jump to something else. The economic.
It's not that I'm trying to jump, Coach. It's just that
you said.
Let me talk. Let me get my little statement out. It's just that I look at these things from a different point of view.
No. You said, why is it not cost effective where you can fly up to the ISS? I gave you the reason, the rationale as to why it's not cost effective for you to fly to ISS. What is your rebuttal to that? Not another subject, to that.
I said, okay. My rebuttal to that is because everything that we've been taught is a lie. What you think is economics. There's no such thing as money to the person that can print the money. $2 million is nothing to the person that can print the money.
Can you print it?
First and foremost, I can't print it. It's illegal for me to print it.
Do you earn enough money to be able to expense $2 million to go up there?
No, it's illegal for me to print it. I have to work for it.
Okay, so you can't afford it is why you can't go to the ISS.
But I'm saying the person that can print it can print an infinite amount without paying for it, without working for it.
If you print if the Federal Reserve printed an infinite amount of money, it would devalue the dollar, and therefore the dollar's value would go so damn low that it would wreck the economy. So you can't just print as much as you want to print. And even if you did, that wouldn't put the $2 million in your pocket.
Again, I understand how economics work, Coach.
You sure?
It's just that I understand economics is a form of control. My issue again is I've been typing before. It's funny.
That's not the
subject. That's why we have a round ball.
That is not the subject.
The subject is round ball or flat earth.
No. We are having a different conversation than what's posted as the conversation. The subject is, you said you can't, you talking about if you can't go there because it costs $2 million.
$2 million.
If they printed the $2 million, that doesn't mean you will have the $2 million. So you still have not justified your claim of why can't you go to the ISS? You got
the average man. And I'm gonna tell you, the average man like me would never have the opportunity to go because I'm trying to go in genuine, just trying to find out what's going on.
So
when you get to that type of money, it's a secret club, but only a few allowed in. So if I get to that type of money, I won't be talking about the ISS. That's how I'm gonna have that type of money.
That's utter nonsense, sir. So because you believe that there's a cap that doesn't allow for you to have the money, is bullshit, first of all, because you actually do have the ability to make $2 million. You do have it. Whether or not you are willing to do it and willing to put forth the energy and effort and the mindset to do it, that's a whole nother question.
There you go. I understand all of these things. I can see it. I'm in a country that can do it. I told you these things before. I can honestly do this if I really work for it.
Why don't you do it?
Because my heart ain't set on that.
But your heart
is set on trying to find out what's really going on.
If if your heart was set on finding out what's really going on, then you would produce the money to be able to go to the ISS to prove or disprove whether or not it's real.
And because again, what profits a man to gain the whole world and yet lose his soul? So why would I spend my life trying to get 2 million just to go up there? And I know they're not gonna let me go up there.
How you know? What makes you think they ain't gonna let you go?
Because I know the truth. And it's not for the average man to go up there. It's a television. They're doing exactly what the name tells us. They're telling us a vision.
Here's the thing. If you
A story.
if you took on the challenge to make enough money to expense $2 million to go up to ISS, you are not the average man. The average man will not put forth the energy nor the effort to make $2 million.
And I would rather, if I would do something like that, Coach, I would rather spend my money, because I'm talking about trying to make more money this year too, because a lot of people around me want me to do that. But I would rather spend my money to go north. I feel that's easy. North is the center.
It seems like you are more interested in maintaining your belief than you are in actually finding out the truth. And when you say going north to the center, you don't need to make a whole bunch of money to do that. You can do that right now.
You're right.
You can do that right now. All to go to the North Pole probably wouldn't cost you no more than a few $1,000s.
No, not they North Pole. Just due north.
It wouldn't cost you more than a few $1,000s. What's
the
holdup?
coloring book North Pole. Not getting on a plane and say I want to go to the North Pole and then I'm there. No.
How would you get to this
looking at the compass? I can't tell you. Looking at the compass and meeting up north somewhere.
How would you
going north as far as I can? Plane, trains, and automobiles.
Okay, a few $1,000s, then you can accomplish that.
But it won't be like on a plane. It have to be like just going north on the compass.
Okay, a few $1,000s and you can accomplish that. What's the problem? What's the holdup?
Well, maybe I'm gonna do that this year. Then maybe that's my goal before I die.
And then
because I just want to see for myself.
All right, and when you get there, what are you gonna say?
I honestly don't believe I'll get there. I just want to try.
Why do you not think you'll get there? Because people do it all the time.
Because for the same reason they got the Antarctic Treaty that you don't know nothing about. They're gonna keep the average man away from these areas because it proves the flat earth.
Sir, I know quite a bit about the Antarctic Treaty since I helped with the changeover of it, but we're talking about north. There is no treaty that prevents you from going north. There's absolutely no treaty whatsoever. Passports is the only thing that will keep you. If you can't get a passport, that'll stop you. Can you get a passport?
Probably not.
Why can't you get a passport?
But not for something.
Are you a felon?
Child support, of course.
Oh, child support?
No, child support.
Okay, pay off your damn child support.
Yeah,
I understand that one. I understand that one. I'm in the same boat with you on that one. But when you get your child support paid off and you get a passport, nothing stops you from going north. Nothing will stop you from going north, except you. So what's the problem?
It's more than that. Because you make it seem so simple, and I understand it is the world will not let you go there because we're not ready for that.
Going north is simple. Before I had child support issues,
I know going there is as simple as going there, but will I reach the destination?
Mm-hmm. When you reach the destination,
you believe that, but I believe not. If the truth is it's a flat earth and it proves that, how can I reach my destination and they trying to hide that from us?
How are they? They're not hiding anything north, dude. You go up. I'm assuming you're in America, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're either
I'm in America.
So you're either going to take the Canadian route, and then of course there's going to be some boats and shit like that, or you're going to take the Greenland route, which you got to fly to Greenland, then you can take some boats and shit like that. But you can get to a compass north. Ain't shit stopping you. There ain't no guards. There's no military that stops you. Now you're going to have to get some dogs and some sleds and all that kind of stuff. But there ain't shit else stopping you.
Hey, maybe that'll be a goal this year.
And I ain't saying it's easy. It's simple in the process.
Because I like to know.
It's rough to do it unless you some crazy person who likes the cold.
No, I don't. I can't stand the cold.
Well, then it's gonna be rough for you.
And I live in a cold city, so I live in a cold city.
Because I don't want to go. I do want to go up there. I've already put my foot in the Arctic water, so I'm good. I don't really need to go up there again. But I've been to Greenland, put my foot in the Arctic water. I'm good. I don't need to go further north than Greenland. But if you need to go to true north, now once you get there, what does that tell you? What is that gonna like enlighten you? What enlightenment are you gonna have?
Hard to tell. I can't tell you until I find something there. I don't know what I'll find there. Because
according to flat earth theory, you should get there. Well, no, flat earth theory doesn't say that gravity exists. Y'all, they say some other bullshit. They say gravity don't exist.
But I do feel that's the simplest way to prove it, though. Just going north.
Actually, going north. So how does that prove it?
But I might need two people doing this experiment, though. So we see if we can meet in the center.
Oh, you ain't going by yourself. First of all, you ain't going by yourself because you're gonna die.
I mean, but again, I'm just saying I need somebody from an opposite point than me to see. You see what I'm saying? Regardless of whether it's a group of us from my end and a group of us on another end, the only way I can prove that is from two different points meeting at the center.
That wouldn't prove flat earth at all, because if you had people coming from Russia, people coming from Greenland, people coming from Canada, you're all still going to the same point. Whether it's a flat or a sphere, you're still going to the same point. So that wouldn't prove that at all. Not even slightly.
Going north won't prove going to the center.
It wouldn't prove that.
Well, how about
the earth is flat? Because
going left or right, going east or right, going east or west to get you to the same spot that you came from.
Yeah, it's because it's a sphere. But even if it's flat,
it's not a sphere.
Here's the thing about if it was flat, then the problem that if it was flat, then you would have to see that from the Falkland Islands to the southern tip of Africa would have to be a greater distance than what the distance demonstrates from on a sphere. Because on a sphere, they both curve downward like that. So the distance is that, so it's going to have that distance. On a flat earth, the distance would be much, much further apart. And you would have to be able to demonstrate that distance is true instead of this distance being true.
I'm not sure about the geography of the two lands, but have you ever seen the UN logo?
Yeah, I've seen the UN. Yeah.
That's more like the shape of the earth than.
Right. Which is my point. The tip of South America and the tip of Africa is like this far apart on that flat rendition of the earth. But on a spherical earth, the tips are more like this. All right. So what you would have to demonstrate is that what we say the distance is right now, which is based on this, on a sphere, that distance is wrong, and this is the true distance based on a flat earth. You would have to demonstrate that. And that's not impossible. You can do that. You can do that. You can go down to the Falkland Islands, get a boat, and go due east until you hit the southern tip of Africa, and you can measure your distance, and you can say, hey, y'all lied, this is wrong. Because the earth's flat. So, and that's easily done. I mean, it's gonna cost you, but it's easily done. Might cost you about $40,000-$50,000, but you can do it.
I know the price tag is crazy.
That's not.
But like I say, this is what holds the average man down, though, is the price tag.
See, the sad part about it is that the price tag doesn't actually hold it down, because all you got to do is research people who have sailed from the Falkland Islands to Johannesburg and see what their distance is. And unless you're just going to say, oh, they lied.
I mean, because I say that the earth is flat or at least levelish, that don't mean I know the geography of where the lands is at. I believe all of these things is a lie. I've seen videos of things and stuff that say you can get to Egypt by walking through the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I've seen that stupid ass videos too.
But my point is, how will we know unless we do these things for ourselves? All I can tell you is for a fact is that they keep a great percentage of the Grand Canyon off limits to us. That's a fact.
Yeah, there's a lot of it is off limits because a lot of it's dangerous as fuck.
That's what they say.
Have you been there?
No.
I have. It's dangerous as hell.
How is it dangerous?
Dude, some of the sheer cliffs and the fragile rocks. Yeah, that's just too damn dangerous to let people just walk around all day in.
I don't know, but we got rock climbers that down on mountains that they're allowed to climb on. You don't think they won't take the chance on one of those? You can't compare something like
Mount Whitney to the Grand Canyon. There are certain parts of mountains that are off limits that they have said is too damn dangerous.
But much of the world is off limits.
Okay, Stone Mountain is not even really a mountain in Atlanta, Georgia. Stone Mountain's not a real mountain, but there are parts of Stone Mountain that you can't climb up because it's too damn dangerous. So they don't allow people to climb on that part or go on that part because it's too dangerous.
Well, I mean, they don't got to climb. They could ride a bike or
where?
Fly a helicopter around to see what's going on.
You can see all of Stone Mountain. You can fly a helicopter around and everything, but that part that got them four assholes chiseled into it,
they won't let you fly over there. I know that.
No, you can fly over it. That's not a problem. But what you cannot do, so if you get to the top, there's a fence that keeps you from going too far, because if you go beyond this fence, it's a sheer drop. So for your safety, there's a fence. They're not trying to hide nothing. They're trying to save your damn life. Because you know what happened? A few years ago, this asshole decided he was going to climb over the fence. He climbed over the fence, and then his ass slipped. He fell, and he died. That's the purpose of the fence. And there's always, every few years, there's some idiot who climbs over the fence, and they die. Because I want to go to the area. I want to see it as close as I possibly can. And the fucker dies. So this whole thing about the Grand Canyon, they close it off. You know that whole story about the Grand Canyon having Egyptian artifacts and all this kind of stuff has been shown was a made-up story by I think it's the Arizona Tribune or some Arizona newspaper that sold a story about this man finding Egyptian artifacts, and that the Smithsonian came in and they did all this work, and then after that they shut it off to people. That whole story has been shown to be a made-up story by the editors of this Arizona newspaper, but yet people still to this day believe it.
It could be, and the truth is, I won't know it until we lay eyes on it for ourselves.
So you don't believe nothing that you ain't laid your own eyes on?
It's not just that. It's just that I understand that the world's problems could be fixed with just a change of a thought, and the world seems hell-bent on making sure that these things do not happen in every sense of the word.
I can't. Have you ever been to Egypt?
No.
Do you believe the pyramids exist?
I guess according to the TV, but I've never seen it with my eyes.
I asked, it's a yes or no. Do you believe it exists?
Yeah.
But you've never seen it. You've never touched it. Why you believe it exists?
Because I've seen pictures of it that wasn't computer generated, as far as I understand. And it could be. You are correct.
So
I'm not going to argue against these things.
Do you see how the only things that exist have to be based on authorities that you accept, or you've seen it for yourself? So anything
Not
that you
true.
want to, that's basically.
Have you flown over the Grand Canyon?
Huh? Have I what?
Have you flown over the Grand Canyon?
Yep.
To look at these things for ourselves, just to see what's over there that they're so off limits?
You asked if I've flown over the Grand Canyon. I just said yes. Flown over it, walked around.
I mean, not in a plane, but like in a helicopter, something you can observe some things in.
No, I haven't done a helicopter tour. No, I will.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something that you can observe, not just flying over. There's the Grand Canyon, y'all, right there to your right as we're going past it somewhere. I mean, actually looking to observe it. I would love to just see. I'm not talking about. I know we can go to the pyramids if I was to go to Egypt.
I've walked
and I can see those with my own eyes. That is a tourist attraction.
Okay, I've walked around certain parts, but if there are parts that are off limits, then it's off limits. You're not gonna go there. You're not gonna go.
I want to see the parts that's outside the coloring book.
But other people have ventured off into their recorded video into different parts, and people have been shooed away from it. They've been sent away. If a place is off limits, then a place is off limits. That doesn't mean necessarily that there's some nefarious thing going on. You can go to Yellowstone and there are certain hot springs that are off limits. You know why those particular hot springs are off limits? Because they're too fucking hot. You die. When I was in Israel, the first time I was in Israel, well, actually both times, the two times I was in Israel in the early 90s, the River Jordan was off limits near Jerusalem and Galilee and all that. It was off limits because the water was so damn polluted that people were getting like infectious diseases. So it was off limits. It wasn't nothing nefarious. It was just so damn nasty at the time frame. So because something is off limits,
I mean, I understand that.
But people like to jump to these.
What I don't understand is why.
You broke up a little bit. Say that again. You broke up. You still there? Babylon. So you go.
Hello.
Okay, there you go. You back. What was you saying? Because you broke up. Still there? Hello. Hello. But yeah, gaming. You go to the zoo, there's certain you can climb over that fence because it's off limits. Fuck around, find out. I don't know what's going on with Babylon's. What you got, a cheap ass iPhone?
I don't know if can anybody hear me?
We can hear you now.
I'm gonna do this later. I gotta go back to work.
No ragged ass iPhone.
I'm trying to see.
Nah, there's you know who you should listen to? Babylon. Out of Babylon, can you hear me? We can hear your background and you can hear your background noise. Babylon. Okay, so last time. I know you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Yeah, let me call you back. I don't know if you go. Yeah, let me call you back. Let me finish this work I got to do real quick.
I don't think you can hear it.
Like I said, I don't mind talking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I've been saying I can hear you the whole time. I don't think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying I'm gonna call you back if you're still online.
Yeah, I'm about to get off in a minute. You know what? You know whose channel? Let me tell you a channel that you might like.
What's that?
There's a YouTube channel called Why Files. WHY.
I've checked it out.
You should check out his channel.
I've seen it.
You probably don't like it, do you?
I mean, some of the things I eat and choose what I feel is grounded in what I'm looking for. So some of the things he says is beneficial, like you. Some of the things you says is beneficial. I agree with many of the things you say about the church. I'm just saying question question everything. Like,
Oh damn, his phone dropped. So that's cool. The Wi-Fi is dope. Yes, it is. Wi-Fi is for crazies. I love the Wi-Fi's personally. That Joker will have you, he will give you the information, all the stuff that the conspiracy theories people love. And then he'll fuck it all up for you. Some of the things he talks about, I'll be like, oh yes, please let this part be true. Let this be true. Let this be true. Let this be true. And then he'll mess it up. But sometimes there are things that he's like, hey, we still don't know. But I really enjoy his channel because it dives deep into a lot of these conspiracy theories. It'll some of these conspiracy theories that people have astounds my mind. And he's very straightforward with the parts that he can disprove and the part that he's saying is still we may not know and we don't know. So it's a great channel. It's a great channel. I have listened to every video that man has made for the last 2-3 years. Yeah. So I like Wi-Fi's. It's a YouTube channel, by the way, for those who may ask the question. He's on Facebook as well now, but I like his YouTube better. Yeah, so you might want to check this out. It's been 3 hours and 35 minutes, so you know it's time for me to get off. I was on here too long yesterday. My wife got home and I wasn't finished working, so that's not going to happen today. Got a donation on got a donation on Cash App yesterday. I'm not going to name the person, but I want to thank you for your donation. I appreciate that. And I want to thank everybody who donates to the channel. Jay gave a Galaxy yesterday. It was the first Galaxy I've ever received on TikTok. I was so impressed. So thank you guys for any of your donations that you give. I got a super chat last week that I forgot to come on here and thank people for giving super chats as well. So thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate it greatly. So as a reminder, before we go, on Friday, I will be on Truth Wanted at 7 p.m. Central Time Zone. So Central Standard, yeah, it is Central Standard Time Zone. I will be on Wi-Fi, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time Zone. It's an hour and a half show, so I expect to see you guys there on YouTube. It's a YouTube channel, Truth Wanted. Don't subscribe to the channel until after I'm on there or while I'm on there. I want my credits. I want my credit. So I look forward to that. As I don't even know. And the hard part about it is I have no fucking idea what we're going to be talking about. So I just have to prepare in a broad spectrum of things. The cruise is still going. People have signed up for it. We're taking a cruise October, I think it's October 31st of next year, 2026, out of New Orleans, the Carnival ship Valor. So get on the cruise, man. We're going to go to Chichen Itza. The Yucatan Peninsula. We're going to be at the Yucatan Peninsula. So let's take that cruise together. We're going to have a couple of, we're going to have a few talks on the days that we're at sea. So I look forward to that time frame next year for our meetup, because we had a great meetup this year. And then on the 14th, if you haven't signed up for my Eventbrite, which is you'll find in the description of the this YouTube video, 9 businesses you need to start in 2026. 9 businesses you need to start in 2026. My man was Babylon saying that he needs to make more money next year. I'm going to talk about 9 different primary ways to make money, and then there are some sub levels within each one. It's not like, oh, go and open this or go and open that. That there are certain aspects within each one that you're going to need to think about and contemplate to be able to do it. If you listened to the show yesterday, I gave a gentleman who owns some land two great ideas to be able to utilize that land going forward. So definitely sign up for it next year. Or sign up for this December 14th webinar that I'll be doing next week. It's about not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. So so I look forward to it. Thank everybody for being a part of the show. Thank you for your comments and your arguments, and everything is always fun. We go live we go live on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time frame. So thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys next week. The webinar of 9 businesses to start in 2026 is not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. The Truth Wanted is this Friday. This Friday is Truth Wanted. So can you drop a link to sign up for the channel? I don't know what channel you're talking about. If you're talking about Truth Wanted, I'm not putting a link for Truth Wanted until Friday because I don't want anybody to be on there. I don't want you to subscribe until then. But it's called Truth Wanted. Just you can type in Truth Wanted. Oh, the business webinar. Okay. You said channel. See, gotta be very specific. But this is the link for the webinar. I just posted this on in the comments of Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, so there you go. So y'all got you got a little flat earth talk out of me today. You know that shit ain't gonna happen probably for another 2 years before I ever talk about this subject matter again, because I hate this subject. I hate it. But if you are a believer of the Bible, you should believe that the earth is flat. That was the whole concept. I was not trying to debate whether or not it's round or it's not round, it's a sphere rather, or if it's flat. I don't really care because at the end of the day, it's a useless debate. Because what you gonna do? What is that gonna change? You know, some of these debates are useless. Like it changes nothing. You know, so I don't even understand why people get all caught up with it. Because what does it change? It ain't changing shit in your life. You're gonna still go to work. You're gonna still pay your taxes. So y'all have a great day. You're welcome. Big Hebo Maine. Hebo Maine. Gotta be not. So y'all have a great day. Always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And we